Chapter 259. Two middle-aged men knelt in front of him and called him Martial Granduncle. Jiang Xi felt a little strange. After all, he was only 22 years old this year. Wen Youxin and Wen Feng, one was in the late Golden Core stage and the other was in the middle Golden Core stage. For both of them to be able to cultivate to this stage, their ages must be very old. However, when the siblings took off the masks they used to disguise themselves. Only then did Jiang Xi realize that the two of them were not bad-looking, and their temperaments were even better. Wen Youxin was dignified and gentle, looking like a kind big sister next door. After Wen Feng took off his mask, he also had a scholarly aura, like a young scholar rushing to take the exam. Jiang Xi nodded repeatedly. That was more like it. Then, he asked the two about the grudge between the Wen and Qiao families. The Wen siblings were furious. Qiao Changsheng. Ungrateful people will die a horrible death. Wen Youxin said coldly. Sooner or later, I will uproot the Qiao family. Wen Feng's words were also filled with murderous intent. Qiao Changsheng. Jiang Xi asked. Wen Youxin said with a face full of disgust, he is the Dao child of the Qiao family's first patriarch, Patriarch Wen Yan. 10,000 years ago, after Patriarch Wen Yan died, Qiao Changsheng left the Wen family. According to the records in the family history Jade Slip, 6,000 years ago, the life Jade Slip of Patriarch Gu, who protected the Wen family, suddenly shattered. Then, in less than half a day, Qiao Changsheng got the news from somewhere and brought 3 primordial soul stage experts. He killed the 2 remaining primordial soul stage patriarchs of the Wen family outside the Murong planet. The huge Wen family was wiped out because of this. At that time, because the galaxy teleportation array was controlled by the Qiao family, the surviving members of the Wen family broke up and hid in various places of the Murong planet. However, the Qiao family did not give up. They wanted to exterminate the bloodline of the Wen family completely. Martial Granduncle saw it just now. A whole 6,000 years. Until today, the Qiao family has not given up on killing us. The siblings looked sad and indignant. At the same time, they also felt a deep sense of powerlessness. The Wen clan had lost both a Dao integration stage patriarch and a nascent soul stage patriarch. They were no match for the Qiao clan. Even if the Wen clan had primordial soul cultivators now, it was useless. Back then, the 2 primordial soul cultivators were killed by Qiao Changsheng and the other 3. And the 2 of them were still in the Golden Core stage. Although he was determined to take revenge, he was very clear in his heart. It was too difficult to take revenge. Jiang Xi also sighed softly. The grudge between the Wen clan and the Qiao clan reflected the law of the jungle. Of course, there were also many suspicious points. Daoist Ge's life tablet had shattered. This should be a very secret piece of information. The Wen clan shouldn't be so stupid as to spread such news. How did Qiao Changsheng find out? Furthermore, the information he received was so accurate and timely. Life token. Jiang Xi muttered. The life slip was a special spiritual weapon that was refined with the spiritual sense of the cultivator. It could monitor the life and death of the cultivator. Under normal circumstances, cultivators would not easily give their life slips to others, unless it was from their sect or someone they could trust. Other than the Wen clan, only the Purple Heaven sect has a piece of Master's life jade. Purple Heaven sect, Jiang Xi shook his head. His master had tricked him. However, this was not the main point of his current consideration. Jiang Xi asked again, is Qiao Changsheng still alive? Wen Feng was a little hesitant, his tone uncertain. When Qiao Changsheng brought people to destroy my Wen clan, he was already more than 4,000 years old. His cultivation was at the mid-stage Essence Soul stage, and the normal lifespan of an Essence Soul stage cultivator is 5,000 years. Logically speaking, his lifespan should have been exhausted not long after he destroyed my Wen clan. However, I once inquired about this on the dark net and deduced that the probability of him still being alive is 30%. a 30% chance is not low. Otherwise, the Qiao clan would not have been able to control Murong planet steadily for more than 6,000 years. Jiang Xi frowned, worried. According to his judgment, if there was a 1% chance of something happening, then in the end, that 1% could become 100%. Subsequently, Jiang Xi's brows relaxed again. Although it was bad news, it was also good news from another point of view. Qianyang Grotto Heaven was about to be unsealed. If one did not know the Qiao clan's background, one would not be able to enter rashly at that time, one might really be slapped to death by this old fart. Jiang Xi thought for a while, then looked at Wen Yoxin and asked, "Last time, you said that you needed the legacy of array formations related to unsealing. Do you have other ways to enter Qianyang Grotto Heaven?" Wen Yoxin laughed bitterly. The Qiao clan guards the blue smoke lake so tightly. What other ways do I have? Then why did you? It's because in the process of escaping for so many years, my ancestor lost the method of unsealing the ancestral land. Without this, even if we enter the ancestral land during the chaos, we will not be able to obtain the legacy. No wonder. Jiang Xi was enlightened. Losing the method of unsealing the ancestral land was equivalent to the Wen clan directly losing the most important legacy. It would be even more impossible for them to compete with the Qiao clan. Back then, Daoist Gu had set up two major arrays for Qianyang Grotto Heaven, one inside and one outside. The outer sealing array formation was used to cover and protect the entire Qianyang Grotto Heaven. The inner sealing array formation was used to protect the true legacy of the Wen clan's ancestral land. The dark yang energy was a component of the inner sealing array formation. With the dark yang energy, even if Master's remnant spirit dissipates, the powerful array formation known as the blood seal trigram fire array will not be able to unseal it. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi smiled. I can give you the legacy of unsealing the ancestral land, and it's the lost method of unsealing the ancestral land of the Wen clan, but, the array formation of the entire Qianyang Grotto Heaven was designed by Daoist Gu. Of course, he knew the method of unsealing the ancestral land of the Wen clan. Hearing this, the siblings were overjoyed. Wen Yoxin quickly nodded. Don't worry, Uncle Granduncle. It's a fair deal. She knew that Jiang Xi needed upper-grade spiritual weapons. Then, she took out two items from her storage ring. A long sword with a cold light and a transparent mask as thin as a cicada's wing. These are upper-grade spiritual weapons left behind by my ancestor after escaping for many years. Unfortunately, there are no supreme-grade spiritual weapons. Wen Yoxin was a little embarrassed. Because she felt that she was taking advantage of Jiang Xi. Compared with the legacy of the Wen clan, upper-grade spiritual weapons were not worth mentioning. It's okay. These are enough. After all, I'm the senior. Jiang Xi laughed and took the upper-grade spiritual sword and mask. Then he said, I see that you have studied arrays. Do you really like arrays? Or do you just want to deduce the method of unsealing the ancestral land? Wen Yoxin smiled. Uncle Granduncle, I've been studying arrays since I was a child. At first, it was to deduce the method of unsealing the ancestral land. Later, I gradually fell in love with arrays. But compared to Uncle Granduncle, I'm still far behind. In her opinion, Jiang Xi's attainments in arrays must be far beyond hers since he could break her most powerful killing array with one strike. When the matter here is over, I'll find time to organize a legacy of Master's array formation for you. Jiang Xi smiled. Ah! Thank you, Uncle Granduncle. Wen Yoxin knelt on the ground in surprise. Wen Feng also knelt down with his sister. At the same time, he was envious. However, he was not good at arrays. There were detailed records of Daoist Gu in the jade slip of the Wen clan's genealogy. The siblings knew very well how powerful their ancestors' Dao of formations was. Jiang Xi smiled gently. The method of unsealing the ancestral land of the Wen clan was important to the Wen clan. But to him, it was worthless. He felt bad about exchanging the method of unsealing for two upper-grade spiritual weapons. After all, this was a true junior and he should not take advantage of her. It was a matter of principle. Chapter 260. Next, Jiang Xi stayed in the dark house. While refining the two upper-grade spiritual weapons, he waited for the outer seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven to be completely unsealed. Extreme Cold Sword, Mask of the Imposter. Extreme Cold Sword doesn't sound good. Let's change it to Killer Shadow Sword. The name of Mask of the Imposter is okay. It can be kept. Jiang Xi renamed the spiritual weapons. The Killer Shadow Sword was the first weapon he owned when he embarked on the path of martial arts. It was very meaningful. He was very satisfied with the quality of the two spiritual weapons. The reason why Murong Planet was famous for being good at refining weapons was mainly due to the Wen family. When the Wen family's ancestor, Wen Yan, was still alive, they were a family of cultivators who were good at refining weapons. Back then, they were quite famous in the entire Zixiao region. All of this was recorded in Daoist GE's inherited memories. These two upper-grade spiritual weapons were passed down after the Wen family was destroyed. Of course, they were of excellent quality. The high-grade longsword, which had been renamed the Shadow Slaughtering Sword, was able to cut the low-grade Abyss Condensing Sword into two with a single slash before it was fully refined. The upper-grade spiritual weapon, Mask of the Imposter, had functions that made Jiang Xi very satisfied. After disguising himself, even nascent soul cultivators couldn't see through him. It was simply the best auxiliary equipment for causing trouble. In more than 10 days, Qianyang Grotto Heaven will be completely unsealed. I'll try to finish refining the two spiritual weapons before then. Jiang Xi set a small goal for himself and then began to focus on refining. At the same time, although the Qiao family was tough, this was a grade 4 planet after all. There were many cultivators in the cultivation world who dared to take risks. Therefore, more and more cultivators gathered outside Qianyang City. Soon, there were more than 1,000 cultivators. There were a few nascent soul cultivators, and the rest were golden core cultivators. 10 days after Jiang Xi went into seclusion to refine the spiritual weapons, something unexpected happened when Qianyang Grotto Heaven was about to be unsealed. 300 miles south of Qianyang City was the location of the Blue Smoke Lake. Today, the Qiao family sent another 1,000 golden core cultivators. Therefore, there were more than 2,000 golden core cultivators guarding the Blue Smoke Lake. There were originally 3 nascent soul cultivators above the Blue Smoke Lake, but now there were 6. One of them was even at the late nascent soul stage. Recently, many courageous cultivators had been waiting within 300 miles of the Blue Smoke Lake. However, they did not approach the Blue Smoke Lake. The mist that enveloped the Blue Smoke Lake became thicker and thicker. The spiritual aura emitted from the entrance of Qianyang Grotto Heaven was getting stronger and stronger. At the same time, there was also a burning sensation that filled the area. The temperature was rapidly rising. The land within a radius of 300 miles quickly became dry, and the vegetation gradually withered and died. The outer seal of the Qianyang cave was about to be lifted. On this day, above the Blue Smoke Lake, the late nascent soul stage cultivator from the Qiao clan suddenly opened his eyes and a scorching light shot out. He said coldly, "Cultivators who are not from the Qiao clan are forbidden to come within a radius of 150 kilometers from this place. I'll give you 10 breaths of time to leave. Otherwise, you'll be killed without mercy." His threatening voice, reinforced by spiritual energy, reverberated between heaven and earth. The powerful aura he emitted made people feel even more fearful. Within Qianyang City, Jiang Xi was awakened from his seclusion by this voice. He immediately flew to the 3rd floor of the dark house's attic and looked toward the Blue Smoke Lake. When Yoxin and Wen Feng flew up as well, their expressions grim. That late nascent soul stage cultivator is the head of the Qiao clan, Qiao Xian. The mid-nascent soul stage cultivator next to him is his son, Qiao Sui, Wen Feng said in a low voice. He had been lurking in the dark net for many years and was very familiar with the Chao clan situation. Late nascent soul stage. Jiang Xi's gaze locked onto Chao Xian. The head of the Chao clan was wearing a black spiritual artifact battle suit. His eyebrows were a strange fiery red, and his surroundings were constantly filled with extremely hot domain power. He was very strong. Outside the city, the cultivators who were not from the Chao clan were guarding the Blue Smoke Lake. Under Chao Xian's intimidation, some of them became timid and retreated 300 miles from the Blue Smoke Lake. However, there were still some who did not believe it and remained where they were. Especially those who had connections, power, and higher cultivations. They did not believe that the Chao clan would dare to be ruthless soon. 10 breaths of time passed. Chao Xian saw that there were still hundreds of people within 300 miles. His eyes under his fiery red eyebrows shot out blazing flames. His body also emitted a flame-like domain power. Kill! Immediately, the 6 Chao clan nascent soul cultivators above the Blue Smoke Lake moved. Kill! A fiery red battle saber appeared in Chao Xian's hand under the support of the domain power. In an instant, he appeared in front of an elderly early-stage nascent soul cultivator. With a slash of the saber, a powerful aura erupted. Chao Xian. I'm your father-in-law, the early-stage nascent soul cultivator shouted angrily and hurriedly attacked. Didn't you hear what I said? Those who are not from the Chao clan will be killed without mercy. Chao Xian showed no mercy. Dense flames condensed into a blade and attached to the spirit chi battle saber. Another slash of the saber seemed to burn everything. The temperature was extremely high. The old man was shocked and hurriedly dodged. However, the domain power restricted him, causing his speed to plummet. Whoosh! He was hit by the saber. A cultivator in the early nascent soul stage turned into a cluster of ashes in an instant. Then, Chao Xian didn't stop for a moment and turned to kill the other cultivators who weren't from the Chao clan. Those people wanted to escape, but how could they? Even an early-stage nascent soul cultivator was killed in 2 slashes, let alone golden core cultivators. In less than 10 breaths of time, within 300 miles of the Blue Smoke Lake, there wasn't a single cultivator who wasn't from the Chao clan. This act of intimidation showed the Chao clan's tyrannical, unyielding, and cruel methods. Those who had retreated in advance out of fear were now filled with lingering fear. Even the thought of taking advantage of the chaos to enter Qianyang Grotto Heaven had disappeared. No one wasn't afraid of death. Chao Xian had even killed his father-in-law, so how could he show mercy? Jiang Xi's expression was also extremely solemn. The development of the situation had exceeded his expectations. He had imagined that the Chao clan would act in advance to intimidate the other cultivators, but he didn't expect that they would be so ruthless. This Chao Xian was truly a ruthless person. He even killed his father-in-law without hesitation. Then, here came the problem. The outer seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven was about to be unsealed. Now that the Chao clan had made this move, not many people dared to take the risk. If there was no chaos, how could they take advantage of the chaos to enter? Force their way in. Jiang Xi didn't have this idea at all. Not to mention whether the Chao clan's first ancestor, Chao Changsheng, was still alive, he didn't have the confidence to win against this Chao Xian. Not to mention, there were still 2,000 Chao clan golden core cultivators and 5 nascent soul cultivators. Forcing their way in was courting death. Can't cause chaos. I don't believe you can't. Jiang Xi took a deep breath and was determined. Since he couldn't break out of the current predicament in the circle of Murong planet, then he would jump out of this circle. Chapter 261. The Pale Blue Planet was a large planet that was famous for its open interstellar trade. The cultivators living on this planet were not only native to the Pale Blue Planet, but also came from various galaxies in the Pale Blue Star region. There were also cultivators from other star regions and star regions. The identities and origins of the cultivators also showed various characteristics. For example, immortal sects, ancient families, space hunters, interstellar merchants, slave traders, and so on. On this day, a shocking piece of news spread rapidly in the cultivation world of the pale blue planet. Then, because of the existence of the heavenly eye of the Taoist alliance, it was extremely convenient for them to communicate. This news spread quickly from the pale blue planet to the entire pale blue star region, and then to the entire Xixiao region. The inheritance of an essence soul stage powerhouse suddenly appeared on a level 4 planet called Murong in the bright blue star region. I heard that it's a grotto heaven secret realm. The essence soul stage powerhouse is dead, and the seal on the grotto heaven has been lifted. The interstellar teleportation coordinates of this planet have been announced. Who is this? This is too ruthless. I wonder if it's true or not. Anyone who discovers this kind of inheritance would keep it a secret. Why would they take the initiative to announce it? Is there something wrong with their brains? Who cares if it's true or not? Let's go first. Isn't it just 10,000 teleportation fees? I have to go even if I don't eat any elixirs for 10 years. If it's true, it'll be a great opportunity. The inheritance of an essence soul stage cultivator was very attractive. In a star zone, Tao integration stage cultivators were the most powerful cultivators on the surface, and nascent divinity stage cultivators were the most powerful cultivators. Just like Qing Xian sect's patriarch Qing Xian, who only had the combat power of an essence soul stage cultivator, was famous in the pale blue star region. Not to mention a real essence soul stage cultivator. An essence soul stage powerhouse who had opened up a grotto heaven secret realm was in existence who had truly comprehended the Tao of heaven and earth. They could easily destroy a planet with a wave of their hand. If one could get such an inheritance, they might have a chance to cultivate to the essence soul stage. Therefore, those who heard this news, as long as they were powerful enough, acted immediately. They quickly rushed to Murong through the interstellar teleportation array. In terms of cultivation, most of them were in the golden core stage, followed by the nascent soul stage. Although the nascent soul stage cultivators were more eager to inherit the primordial spirit stage, there was no other way. After all, the number of Aurus core stage cultivators was greater. As for the primordial soul stage cultivators, there was no need for them to dig up the tombs of other primordial soul stage cultivators. Because Murong Star was sealed, no one could clearly find out the specific information about Murong Star. Pale blue planet, waterfront city, teleportation hall. Gong Shi had never thought that the interstellar teleportation array would be so popular. Who had ever seen thousands of golden core and nascent soul cultivators fighting to be teleported? If it were not for the Tsangyin sect urgently sending an early primordial spirit stage elder to guard the place. It was estimated that this teleportation hall, which covered an area of more than 100 square kilometers, would be turned into ashes by these restless cultivators. This early stage primordial soul stage elder was not just there to guard the teleportation hall. He directly placed the Tsangyin sect disciples who came later in the queue to the front. The Tsangyin sect was the strongest immortal Tao sect in the Kanglan star region. For the higher-ups, the inheritance of the primordial spirit realm was not that precious. But to the disciples, it was also an opportunity. Therefore, the higher-ups of the Tsangyin sect sent a team of disciples over as an experience. A team of 10 people, 1 mid-stage nascent soul stage, 3 early-stage nascent soul stage, and 6 late-stage golden core stage. Among them, the mid-stage nascent soul stage genius disciple Feng Si was the leader this time. They were teleported to Murong Star through the interstellar teleportation array. After they left, the only ones left were the noisy cultivators who were fighting to be teleported. However, under the suppression of the early-stage primordial soul stage elder, everyone began to line up for the teleportation. At this time, in the teleportation hall management room, the guard captain Gong Shi and his best friend Shen Wanxi were watching the show. The teleportation hall was taken over by the Tsangyin sect elders and direct disciples, so Gong Shi was free. Old Gong, what do you think Jiang Gu is after? Is this the character of such a mysterious and noble person? He doesn't even care about the inheritance of the primordial soul stage. Shen Wansi could not understand and was still surprised. He was the one who helped spread the news. As a small interstellar merchant who had been on Blue Star for nearly 100 years, he might not be very strong, but he had a wide network. It only took him 10 minutes to complete the task that Jiangxi had entrusted him with. Maybe he really doesn't care about it. Didn't you say that Lord Jiang Xi took dozens of stones to Blue Cloud Star to exchange for money? This kind of person spends spirit crystals like throwing stones. Maybe he's a descendant of some ancient family. It's very likely that there's a Tao integration stage ancestor in his family. Naturally, he doesn't care about the inheritance of the primordial soul stage. Gong Shi speculated. They could now confirm that Jiang Xi was definitely from some ancient immortal Tao family. Otherwise, he would not act like this. This was because the disciples of immortal Tao sects were usually very competitive and did not have much capital to act so recklessly and run amok. Sigh, people really can't be compared. If you have a good life, everything is good. Shen Wansi sighed. He remembered the scene when Jiang Xi sent him a message this morning. According to Jiang Xi, he just wanted to watch the show, so he took out a place of inheritance of the primordial soul stage that he knew of to play. Damn, I just want to watch the show. Jiang Gu is not kind. It's good to let me go in first to explore. Letting it out as an amusement park is extravagant, wasteful, and wasteful. Shen Wansi grumbled in his heart. He did not join in the fun. One was that he was not strong enough. He was a merchant who was not good at fighting and only liked money. The second was that Jiang Xi told him not to go. Who was Jiang Gu? Of course, he had to listen to Jiang Gu. Moreover, he was indeed afraid of death, so he did not join in the fun. He could imagine that when the time came, the sky would be dark and the ground would be dark. Even the ashes of the dead would not be found. There was only one interstellar teleportation array on Murong planet. The dozen or so guards were all from the Qiao family. The captain of the guards, Qiao Shu, was a late-stage golden core cultivator Buzz. The interstellar teleportation array lit up. Qiao Shu immediately became vigilant and led the guards to surround the teleportation array. Aside from the Qiao family, the native cultivators of Murong planet rarely had the opportunity to leave this planet. There were also very few foreign cultivators who came from outside. Most of them were the guards of the Tao Alliance's Heavenly Court office on Murong planet. Therefore, this interstellar teleportation array would not light up even once in 10 years. Now, in a short 1.5 months, it had lit up twice. It was somewhat strange. Soon, the light dissipated, and 10 figures appeared in the teleportation array. Who's there? The captain of the guards, Qiao Shu, shouted. Scram! A cold shout, accompanied by a powerful aura, directly sent the entire group of guards flying. The first to arrive was the Tsangyun sect's training team. Their leader was the cold-faced youth, the Tsangyun sect's nascent soul genius, Feng Si. Chapter 262. The news first spread on planet Sanglan, so the Tsangyun sect that ruled planet Sanglan had a huge advantage. Feng Si knew the importance of being one step ahead, so he didn't waste time with the guards. He led the training team and flew away. He only sent the guards flying, but he didn't really attack. After all, they were outsiders and couldn't afford to offend the local cultivators of this grade 4 planet. Because they came in a hurry, they only had a rough understanding of planet Murong and knew that it was an extremely isolated planet. There were many things they had to be careful about. The captain of the guards, Qiao Shu, saw 4 nascent soul cultivators and 6 late-stage golden core cultivators like him. He knew that something bad was about to happen and immediately sent a message to the upper echelons of his family in fear. However, just as he finished sending the message, the interstellar transportation array next to him lit up again. In a flash of light, hundreds of figures were transported over at the same time. There were even nascent soul and golden core cultivators. This time, Xiao Shu didn't even dare to stop them. For Symbol's sect. His expression was aghast and terrified. Moreover, his current fear was 100 times stronger than before. For Symbol's sect was the strongest immortal sect that ruled the entire Minglan star region. Even planet Murong had to obey For Symbol's sect's orders to a certain extent. If planet Murong was still ruled by the Wen clan, it might have been harder in front of For Symbol's sect. Now, it couldn't be done at all. What's going on? Xiao Shu only felt his throat dry up. This was a physiological situation that had never happened to him since he became a cultivator. However, before it was over, the interstellar transportation array lit up again. More people were being transported over. Buzz buzz buzz. Xiao Shu was numb. The interstellar transportation array seemed to have turned into a flashing light, activating once every 3 to 5 breaths. In a short 15 minutes, more than 10,000 cultivators were transported over. The world is going to change. Xiao Shu was already paralyzed on the ground. He didn't even know how to report this to the upper echelons of his family. At the same time, in the sky above Blue Smoke Lake outside Qianyang City, Qiao Xian, the head of the Qiao clan, sat cross-legged in the air, quietly guarding. Yesterday, he had intimidated and cleared out all the cultivators within a radius of 300 miles. This move ensured that they had firm control over Qianyang Grotto Heaven and nothing unexpected would happen. Looking at the situation, today or tomorrow, Qianyang Grotto Heaven will be completely unsealed. The legacy of the Wen clan, the Tao of Fire. If I can comprehend a little of it, I will have a chance to cultivate the immortal soul directly. Qiao Xian's eyes glistened with anticipation. After the Wen clan was exterminated, the ancestral land of the Wen clan, the Qianyang Grotto, disappeared. Even the first ancestor of the Qiao family, Qiao Changsheng, who was Wen Yan's Daoist apprentice, did not know where the entrance to the Qianyang cave heaven was. After all, it was a grotto heaven mystic realm created by Daoist Gu and Wen Yan, two Dao integration stage powerhouses. Even primordial soul stage experts would have a hard time finding them. If it wasn't for the external seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven unsealing itself, they probably wouldn't have been able to discover this entrance. While waiting, Qiao Xian was also concerned about another matter. He looked to the side and saw a young man who looked somewhat similar to him. That young man also had fiery red eyebrows. His eyes were like stars, and his face was chiseled. He was extremely handsome. His cultivation was also very strong. The aura he exuded was that of a mid-stage nascent soul. Sui, have you found where Qiao Mi and the others died? Qiao Xian asked. The young man was his son, Qiao Sui, the successor of the Qiao family head. Qiao Sui frowned. We've already searched for more than 10 days. I don't think we can find them. Some time ago, he had sent his guard, Qiao Mi, and more than 50 golden core cultivators to track down the remaining members of the Wen clan. Unexpectedly, after Qiao Mi sent a message saying that he was going to exterminate the remaining members of the Wen clan, he lost contact with him. Then, he discovered that the life slips of Qiao Mi and the others had shattered. Qiao Sui also knew that since the other party could easily kill Qiao Mi and more than 50 golden core cultivators, it would be easy for them to destroy the corpses. It would be very difficult to find the place where Qiao Mi and the others died. Unless one had the ability to deduce the location of a dead person without using a corpse, one would not be able to do so. What about the outsider who was looking for the Wen clan? Qiao Xian asked again. They had found the traces of the remaining members of the Wen clan through that outsider. His whereabouts are unknown. According to the message Qiao Mi sent when he was alive, that dark net hunting chief called Old Bao should be the remaining member of the Wen clan. Unfortunately, he also disappeared. Qiao Sui shook his head. He does have some tricks up his sleeve. Continue tracking. The interstellar transportation array is in our hands. They won't be able to escape from Murong planet. It's been more than 6,000 years. I have a feeling that this unknown outsider can help us exterminate the Wen clan bloodline. Qiao Xian sneered. Father, you're right, Qiao Sui didn't finish his sentence. At that moment, Qiao Xian's communication bead lit up. The person who had sent him a message was a nascent soul elder who was in charge of guarding the clan. The Qiao clan hadn't mobilized all of its forces, so there had to be someone guarding the clan. What? Qiao Xian's expression changed slightly after he checked the content of the message with his spiritual sense. 10 foreign cultivators had forced their way into Murong planet. 4 of them were at the nascent soul stage and 6 were at the late golden core stage. Why are there so many foreign cultivators? Qiao Xian had a bad feeling about this. Ever since the Qiao clan had taken complete control of this planet, 1 or 2 foreign cultivators would occasionally come. However, they had a strategy to deal with this. For example, they had sent many people to secretly monitor the foreign cultivator from before. If something went wrong, they would kill the foreign cultivator. It had been a long time since a situation like this where 10 foreign cultivators appeared at the same time had happened. In just a few seconds, his communication bead lit up again. Another 100 have come. Qiao Xian's expression changed drastically. This is bad. Then, his communication bead continued to light up. Father, what's wrong? Qiao Sui asked, puzzled. This is bad. More than 10,000 foreign cultivators have forced their way into Murong planet. There are nascent soul and golden core stage cultivators among them. What? Not only Qiao Sui, but the other 4 nascent soul stage cultivators of the Qiao clan were also shocked. Father, should we ask the patriarch to come out? Qiao Sui couldn't help but ask. The patriarch is in seclusion. Unless it's a matter of life and death for the clan, we can't awaken him. Qiao Xian shook his head decisively. Then, he let out a long sigh and said with a complicated expression, release the restriction on Blue Smoke Lake. This is no longer a place that the Qiao clan can monopolize. With so many foreign cultivators here, if they continued to guard the entrance of Qianyang Grotto Heaven, something big would definitely happen. Father, are we giving up just like that? Qiao Sui was unwilling to give up. The seal was about to be completely released. How can we give up? We're retreating in order to advance. No one knows Qianyang Grotto Heaven better than the Qiao clan. Even if we take advantage of the chaos, we'll still have a chance to obtain the Wen clan's inheritance. Qiao Xian's expression was gloomy. The Wen clan's Dao integration stage patriarch, Wen Yan, had strictly controlled the news of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. However, the Qiao clan's first-generation patriarch, Qiao Changsheng, had collected a lot of useful information when he was Wen Yan's Dao attendant. This was the Qiao clan's current advantage. The only thing that puzzled Qiao Xian was how news of Qianyang Grotto Heaven had spread to Murong planet. Is it that foreign cultivator from before? Qiao Xian quickly connected the dots. Damn it! This was the only possibility. Chapter 263. Whoosh! 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 After leaving the galaxy teleportation array, figures flew toward Qianyang City one after another without hiding their powerful auras. The ordinary people in China and the surrounding countries were shocked by this scene. Many people who believed in myths and legends even knelt down. Immortals descending to the mortal world. Gods descending to the mortal world. This day became the famous day of descent in the history of Murong planet. Jiang Xi stood in the attic of the dark house and looked at the figures flying over from the sky with a bright smile. Very good, it's going to be chaotic just like this. What was this called? Chaos in the world. The Qiao family's domineering and tough attitude forced him to do this. Since the cultivators on Murong planet were scared of the Qiao family, then he would attract the cultivators outside. The universe was so big. Was there a lack of bold people? What made Jiang Xi relieved was that Shen Wanxi was very reliable and did not exaggerate what he said. The news that was spread was strictly according to his request and only said that there was an essence soul legacy here. I'm much more relieved that there's no essence soul. Of course, he was not stupid enough to tell the actual situation of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. If people knew that this was a legacy left behind by a Tao integration mighty figure, then it would definitely attract many essence soul cultivators. At that time, he, who only had late-stage nascent soul combat power, could only silently withdraw from the game. He looked at the experience points interface. Cultivation, Golden Core, Late Stage 397500397500, Tao, Gale Domain, 50000/5000000, Sword Intent, 1000000/1000000, Amplitude, 100 Deduction, 10,000 experience points per time cultivation technique, Purple Cloud Sword Sutra, Peacock Visualization experience points, 91, 190. A complete Gale domain with 100 times of spiritual power amplitude. Even if I meet a late-stage nascent soul cultivator, I can still fight. Jiang Ci was full of confidence ever since he discovered the accident in Qianyang Grotto Heaven and the Qiao family's various overbearing and tough methods. He began to focus on increasing his Gale domain experience points. He ate a 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit almost every 3 days. After the battle in the mountains last time, he almost had a complete Gale domain. But I'm still far from the level of invincible nascent soul. Jiang Ci shook his head again. It was not time to be complacent. He had the complete Gale domain. However, an invincible nascent soul expert also had a complete Tao domain. Furthermore, he was invincible in the original infant stage and possessed the cultivation of the full foundation of the original infant stage. He was only at the full foundation of the Golden Core stage and was still far from it. It's a pity that the success rate of deducing Sword True Intent is too low. If I could deduce Sword Domain, then my chances would be much higher. Jiang Ci was somewhat helpless. He still maintained the frequency of 10 deductions a day. From the time he left Earth until now, he had already used up a total of 4 million experience points to deduce the Sword Intent. The success rate of deduction was said to be related to the grade and completeness of the Tao technique. Actually, to a certain extent, it still depended on one's looks. Soon, more than 20,000 foreign cultivators had gathered in Ganyang City. This was because the external seal of Qianyang Grotto Heaven had yet to be completely unsealed. Those powerful figures stood in the air, densely surrounding the entrance of Qianyang Grotto Heaven, Blue Smoke Lake. Such a huge formation alarmed the entire cultivation world of Murong planet. Because of the Qiao family's control and the lack of information, the cultivation world of Murong planet, other than the Qiao family and the Tao Alliance's heavenly court personnel and some nascent soul cultivators. The rest of the cultivators did not know that there were other planets with life in the universe. Where did these cultivators come from? Could there really be extraterrestrial life? For a moment, all kinds of guesses were made. The Wen siblings, Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng, were also completely stunned by this scene. Martial granduncle? This is the extraterrestrial you were talking about. When Yoxin's eyes widened, so powerful, there must be more than 100 nascent soul cultivators, right? Wen Feng held his breath. The Wen family's genealogy jade slip had records of other planets with life, but the siblings had never seen any other extraterrestrials other than Jiang Ci. More than 100. After a rough look, there should be more than 600 nascent soul cultivators and the rest are all golden core cultivators. Jiang Ci said calmly. More than 600. The Wen siblings' breath stagnated. In fact, Jiang Ci was also secretly speechless. There seemed to be a little too many people, and the game was a little too big. At this moment, he saw Feng Xi's figure. This genius of the Zhangyan sect was standing together with a few other nascent soul cultivators and talking about something. These people were the best of the best in the army of cultivators that filled the sky. Come, let's go over too. Jiang Ci smiled. Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng also smiled and hurriedly followed this martial granduncle out of the city. More than half of the Qiao family cultivators around the Blue Smoke Lake had already evacuated, leaving only Qiao Xian and a few other powerful cultivators. The three of them could swagger within a 300-mile radius of the Blue Smoke Lake. The Wen siblings sighed in their hearts. Their martial granduncle was still the best. They knew that this grand scene was created by this martial granduncle in front of them. Under such circumstances, Jiang Xi did not hide the power of his domain. The Gale domain was constantly scattered around him, protecting the Wen siblings at the same time. He was wearing the impersonator's mask and was not afraid of being remembered. After all, he did not want his face anymore. Therefore, no one dared to stop him as he passed through the cultivators that filled the sky. Dao domain. Among the 20,000-plus foreign cultivators, few of them possessed Dao domains. Even among the 600-plus nascent soul cultivators, there were only a few who possessed one. Furthermore, Jiang Xi's cultivation was only at the late-stage Golden Core realm. This made him even more worthy of attention in everyone's eyes. Jiang Xi maintained an indifferent expression as he led the Wen siblings to a location near the Zhangyin sect's Feng Si. From here, he could clearly hear the conversation between Feng Si and the others. Jiang Xi's first impression of Feng Si was that he was a cold and callous person. However, at this moment, Feng Si had a warm smile on his face as he chatted cheerfully with two other young-looking mid-stage nascent soul cultivators. Feng Si said, "Zhen Yuqing, you are from the Four Symbols sect and know more about the situation on the Murong planet than we do. Why don't you introduce us and play host?" Four Symbols sect. Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat as he took a second look at the valiant-looking young man. Before he came to the Murong planet, he had learned about the Four Symbols sect. It was an immortal sect that ruled over the Minglan Star region. It was similar to the Zhangyin sect and was very powerful. Zhen Yuqing had a valiant appearance and spoke in a low, muffled voice. In response to Feng Si's question, he only snorted coldly, "Why should I?" "Feng Si, why don't you find out who controls this planet instead of asking Zhen Yuqing for help? Reveal your identity and I'm sure they won't dare to keep quiet." Another late-stage nascent soul cultivator with two sabers on his back joked. This person's name was Fu Zai, a famous starry sky wanderer in the Kanglin Star region. Although he was an itinerant cultivator, no one dared to underestimate him. Chapter 264. That's a good idea. However, this Grotto Heaven's secret realm will be unsealed at any time. I won't leave. Feng Si smiled, but he was wary of Fu Zai. He knew that this starry sky hunter was famous for his cunning. "It's best if you don't go. Before I left the sect master sent me a message telling me not to provoke the ruling family of this planet." Zhen Yuqing sneered. The ruling family of a fourth-class planet probably has nascent soul cultivators at most. Why is the Four Symbols sect so afraid? Fu Zai was surprised. This planet isn't private territory, but as you can see, the situation here isn't much different from private territory. Moreover, this situation has been going on for thousands of years. Zhen Yuqing's expression was solemn, and he didn't overdo it. Feng Si and Fu Zai were shocked. Under normal circumstances, the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance wouldn't interfere with the management of private territories. The Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance would set up corresponding resident offices for those planets that weren't private territories. To a certain extent, they were used to monitor the actions of the planet's rulers. For example, the ruler of Murong planet dared to turn a planet belonging to the Tao Alliance into a private territory. This was akin to stealing from the Tao Alliance. It was considered corruption, and the Heavenly Court of the Tao Alliance would definitely investigate. However, this situation had been going on for thousands of years, and no one from the Tao Alliance had come to deal with it. There was only one possibility: the ruler of this planet had someone above him. Even the Four Symbols sect, which ruled over the Minglan Star region, was wary of this person. This person could only be from the 9 great immortal Tao sects of the Tao Alliance. And this was the Zixiao region, the Zixiao sect. Feng Si and Fu Zai uttered these 3 words in shock, and their hearts were in turmoil. They were both experienced and knowledgeable people. Of course, they knew that this was a true colossus in the universe. Not far away, the Wen siblings turned their shocked gazes to Jiang Xi. They knew that Daoist Gu was from the Zixiao sect. Jiang Xi shook his head slightly, telling them not to make a fuss. His heart was filled with helplessness. Master had really screwed him over. Daoist Gu had spared no effort in protecting the Wen clan, but it was wiped out in less than half a day after his death. The clan that wiped out the Wen clan, on the other hand, controlled the planet that the Wen clan had originally ruled. Even the Tao Alliance was willing to turn a blind eye to it. It was hard not to think of something. It was obvious that the Purple Heaven sect was not united. Daoist Gu also had opponents in the sect. What made Jiang Xi helpless was that his master, Daoist Gu, had given him another task. He wanted him to return the Purple Cloud sect's important inheritance, the Purple Cloud Sword Scripture, to the Purple Cloud sect within 100 years. Judging from the situation, by the time he sent it over, it would probably turn into a box. How could the opponents of a Tao integration stage super mighty figure be ordinary? Jiang Xi was worried, but he still had to focus on the matter at hand. At this moment, the cultivators who had rushed over from various vital planets were all waiting for the opening of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Until now, they still did not know that this was a Grotto Heaven mystic realm created by 2 Tao integration powerhouses. They all thought that it was the inheritance of a primordial soul stage expert. Even Zheng Yuqing, the nascent soul genius of the 4 Symbols sect, did not know this. That was because the Murong planet was too closed off. In the 6,000 years that the Qiao family had ruled, almost no internal news of the Murong planet had leaked out. Time passed. To cultivators with long lifespans, a day's time was extremely short. Soon, night fell. The fog that shrouded the blue smoke lake became thicker and thicker. The spiritual aura that permeated the world became more intense. The surrounding temperature also became hotter. It's opening. It was unknown who shouted in surprise. The thick fog suddenly churned violently. It then spread out instantly, covering a radius of 300 miles. The thick fog contained a powerful force that engulfed more than 20,000 cultivators. There was no reaction at all. Even nascent soul stage cultivators could not resist it. This is not the technique of a primordial soul stage cultivator. Tao integration. This is a Grotto Heaven mystic realm created by a Tao integration stage super mighty figure. Feng Si, Fu Zai, and Zheng Yuqing, the 3 elites in the army of cultivators, were shocked by this force. The next moment, the world spun and everyone entered Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Qianyang Grotto Heaven was very large. At least, after Jiang Xi teleported in, he did not see anyone other than the Wen clan siblings whom he protected with his domain power. Looking around, one could see that this was a world that resembled a purgatory of fire. In the sky, fiery red clouds looked like they were about to rain fire. On the ground, volcanoes were emitting black smoke and spewing scorching hot lava. Rivers of lava flowed between these volcanoes. This scene is exactly the same as what was recorded in the clan's jade slip. When Yoshin exclaimed in surprise. The siblings were also observing their surroundings. Looking at the terrain, we should be in the southern region of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. The ancestral land of our Wen clan should be in the central region, Wen Feng said. He was a headhunter who was good at gathering information and had a good grasp of the map. Jiang Xi nodded lightly when he heard this. Daoist Ge's inherited memories also recorded the terrain of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. The division of the terrain here was very simple. Generally speaking, it was divided into 4 regions, east, west, north, and south. In addition to the central region, there were a total of 5 regions. Among them, there was an inheritance altar in the central region, which was where the ancestral land of the Wen clan was located. Daoist Gu had set up the blood prohibition trigram fire formation there and sealed the baleful yang power there. Just as he was thinking, the roars of beasts suddenly came from the volcanoes in the distance. There's movement. Jiang Xi immediately became vigilant. His spiritual sense and domain power had been spreading out to observe the surrounding environment. He was one step ahead of the Wen clan siblings to discover the abnormal situation in the distance. In the next moment, dozens of fire lions covered in flames ran out of the volcanoes and rushed over aggressively. It's a golden core fire spirit. Jiang Xi's eyes flashed. These fire lions were not of the demon clan, but fire spirits condensed from flames. Let's end this quickly. Jiang Xi shouted in a low voice and instantly sped up to meet the fire lions. The Wen clan siblings followed closely behind and attacked one after another. Jiang Xi's gale domain was always open. The gales swept in all directions like blades. After those fire lions entered the gale domain, they were suppressed by the domain power and their speed dropped sharply. A golden core fire spirit, even a late-stage golden core fire spirit, was no match for him. The refined upper-grade spiritual weapon, slaughtering shadow sword, scattered sword light and fell on those ferocious fire lions. Instant kill. The fire lions that had been killed in an instant were like extinguished flames. With a puff, they suddenly dissipated. Then, pieces of fiery red crystals the size of fingernails scattered on the ground. Chapter 265. You killed an early-stage golden core fire spirit, experience points plus 1000. You killed an early-stage golden core fire spirit, experience points plus 1250. You killed an late-stage golden core fire spirit, experience points plus 1500. A series of notifications sounded from the panel. Dozens of fire lions were killed by Jiang Xi in the blink of an eye. The Wen siblings were shocked again and smiled bitterly at the same time. They had just drawn their swords and the battle was over. Jiang Xi's attention was not on the experience points gained. His gaze was attracted by the fiery red crystals. These are leaving fire Dao crystals. Wen Yoxin asked in surprise. That's right. Jiang Xi chuckled. He waved his hand and activated the domain power to collect the Dao crystals on the ground. Then, he divided them into 3 equal portions. He kept one for himself and gave the rest to the Wen siblings. Thank you, Uncle Granduncle. The siblings hurriedly thanked him. Jiang Xi smiled. The Dao crystals contained a trace of the Dao of heaven and earth and were very valuable. Especially here, they were even more useful. His master, Daoist Gu, had set up the blood restriction leaf fire formation at the Wen family's inheritance altar in the core area of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Then, the Wen family's ancestor, Wen Yan, used this formation as the core and integrated his leaving fire Dao into the entire Qianyang Grotto Heaven. As a result, the blood restriction leaf fire formation became even more dangerous. Dao Technique Realm, Dao Intent, Dao Domain, and Dao of Heaven and Earth. A Dao integration expert at least had a complete Dao of Heaven and Earth and was extremely powerful. According to Master's inherited memories, when Uncle Master Wen Yan separated a wisp of his leaving fire Dao and integrated it into the entire Qianyang Grotto Heaven, the Dao transformed into thousands of things and gave birth to the magical fire spirit. Therefore, the leaving fire Dao crystals formed after the fire spirit's death contain a trace of the leaving fire Dao. Only through these leaving fire Dao crystals can the power of the blood restriction leaf fire formation be resisted. It could be said that the leaving fire Dao crystals were indispensable to obtain the Wen family's inheritance. Therefore, the Wen siblings were naturally very grateful. Let's go find other fire spirits. Jiang Xi said with a smile. The Wen siblings nodded vigorously. Then, the 3 of them entered the volcano group and began to hunt. If divided by numbers. This time, the Qiao family had the most cultivators entering the Qianyang cave. There were a total of 1,000 cultivators in the Golden Core stage and 6 in the Nascent Soul stage. After all, they were the rulers of this planet. The advantage of mobilizing people was something that the foreign cultivators could not compare to. At this moment, in the core area of Qianyang Cave, a majestic circular sacrificial altar stood in the middle of the blood-forbiddenly fire formation that was like a sea of fire. The Qiao family's 1,006 cultivators were standing at the edge of the sea of fire. Relying on their understanding of Qianyang Grotto Heaven, they were the first to arrive. Qiao Xian looked at the circular altar in the distance with some excitement in his heart. He was just one step away. According to the information left behind by the ancestor, at least 10,000 leaving fire Dao crystals are needed to enter the inheritance altar. Thinking of this, he turned to Qiao Sui and said, Sui, I'll leave 200 people here to guard this place. You lead the others to hunt those fire spirits. Father, don't worry, I will definitely gather enough Inferno Dao crystals. Help Father comprehend the Dao of Ignis. Qiao Sui said solemnly. Following which, he took away 3 nascent soul cultivators and 800 golden core cultivators and began to collect Dao crystals. Qiao Sui believed that with their strength, they could sweep through the entire Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Whether it was the fire spirits or those foreign cultivators. Eastern Region. Feng Si led the Zhangyan sect's training team and had just killed over 100 fire spirits in the form of vermilion birds. Looking at the fiery red crystals scattered all over the ground, Feng Si laughed loudly. Ha, they are indeed Dao crystals. A Dao integration expert must have integrated his Dao of heaven and earth into this grotto heaven mystic realm to give birth to such mystical fire spirit creatures. Master once said that when a Dao integration expert leaves behind his legacy, he will use Dao crystals as a medium to allow future generations to comprehend his Dao of heaven and earth. There are countless Dao of heaven and earth, but I wonder what kind of Dao crystals contain. No matter what, let's collect. The more we collect, the better. When he felt that powerful force earlier, he knew that his previous information was wrong. This was a place of inheritance left behind by a Dao integration expert. After the shock, there was a pleasant surprise. Perhaps he could comprehend the Dao of heaven and earth left behind by this expert here. Although there were not many people in a team of 10, they were extremely powerful. 1 mid-stage nascent soul, 3 early-stage nascent soul, and 6 late-stage golden core. With such strength, they were definitely one of the top teams among the 20,000 cultivators. At the same time, in the Western region, the 4 Symbols sect's nascent soul genius, Zheng Yuqing, was also ecstatic. I've heard that Murong planet was once ruled by a Dao integration expert for nearly 10,000 years. Could this be the place of inheritance left behind by that Dao integration expert? According to the various Dao integration inheritances recorded in the sect, Dao crystals are a necessary item to obtain Dao integration inheritances. The more we collect, the better. Genius disciples like them who came from large immortal sects had a far better understanding of the Dao integration stage than ordinary cultivators. He immediately led more than 100 of his fellow disciples to start collecting. In addition, there was also the famous starry sky wanderer Fu Zhe in the pale blue star region. This late-stage nascent soul cultivator who had explored many dangerous places in the pale blue star region had obtained some inheritances regarding the Dao integration stage. Of course, he also knew about Dao crystals. After killing a few fire spirits, he was ecstatic. Moreover, his desire for Dao crystals was much stronger than Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing. This was because he was already at the late-stage nascent soul stage and had comprehended 70% of his Dao domain. If I have enough Dao crystals to comprehend the Dao of heaven and earth of this Dao integration expert and comprehend it by analogy, I might have a chance to achieve perfection in my Dao domain. When that happens, I'll be invincible among nascent soul cultivators. I might even have a chance to reach the nascent soul stage. Those ordinary cultivators did not know what Dao crystals were, nor did they know the specific situation of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. However, this did not stop them from fighting those fire spirits. This was because if they did not kill the fire spirits would kill them. The fire spirits of Qianyang Grotto Heaven had very low intelligence. They only had a simple will to kill. When they saw cultivators, they would pounce on them without a word. The fire spirit's cultivation was at least at the early stage golden core stage. Therefore, most cultivators could easily take care of one fire spirit. However, fire spirits basically appeared in groups. Being able to take care of one did not mean that they could take care of dozens or hundreds of them. Not to mention, there would occasionally be stronger nascent soul fire spirits appearing. Very soon, many cultivators lost their lives because of this. These people held on to hope and tightened their belts. They gathered 10,000 inferior-grade spirit crystals for the teleportation fee and came to Murong planet to compete for the so-called nascent soul stage inheritance. As the saying went, expectations were always beautiful, but reality was often cruel. He had just started, and he was already dead. After being killed by the fire spirits, they turned into ashes. Even his ashes couldn't be found. Chapter 266. There were many fire lions and fire spirits hidden in the volcanoes in the southern region of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. They spat out flames and each attack carried some Tao rhymes of the Tao of heaven and earth. If not for the Gale domain, Jiang Xi would not have been able to kill hundreds of fire lions as easily as he did now. The power of the domain could not only increase his attack power but also restrict the fire lion's movements. With this, Jiang Xi could easily kill the fire lions. As for the Wen clan siblings, they were picking up scraps by Jiang Xi's side, helping him hunt down those fire lions that had escaped the net. If I want to refine more baleful yang energy at the inheritance altar, I must have enough Tao crystal. Jiang Xi thought about this as he brandished his sword to kill the fire lion. Whether it was the Wen clan's inheritance that the Wen siblings wanted or the yang energy that he wanted, they were all in the inheritance altar in the core region of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Roar! A mid-nascent soul stage fire lion rushed out from the fire lions in front of him. Jiang Xi was not afraid at all. With his current strength, he could easily crush a mid-nascent soul stage opponent. Moreover, he had completely refined the superior-grade spiritual artifact, Killer Shadow Sword. The power of the Gale domain and the increase in attack power of the sword intent could be perfectly displayed through this spiritual artifact. Kill! Jiang Xi's figure flashed and appeared in front of the mid-nascent soul stage fire lion. The sword shadow trembled and the powerful attack directly smashed the lion's head. A strong wind blew, and the flame lion, which was at the mid-nascent soul stage, disappeared into thin air. It turned into a pile of Tao crystals and scattered on the ground. At the same time, Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng were also hunting the golden core stage fire lions. The siblings' strength was honed while they were on the run. Their actual combat strength was much stronger than ordinary golden core stage cultivators and it was more than enough to deal with these fire lions. Soon, the group of fire lions that numbered more than 200 were all killed by the three of them. After collecting the Tao crystals on the ground, Wen Yoxin said in surprise, "Martial Granduncle, we have more than 10,000 Tao crystals." Wen Feng was also surprised and overjoyed. Jiang Xi took 80% of the Tao crystal from the hunt, and the two of them split the remaining 20% equally, so he also had 10,000. Not enough, it's still early. Jiang Xi shook his head calmly. The siblings were startled for a moment, then reacted. There were indeed records in their clan records. As long as they gathered 10,000 myriad Tao crystals, they could go to the inheritance altar to obtain the inheritance. However, 10,000 myriad Tao crystals was only the lowest standard, and the chances of obtaining the inheritance in the end were very small. If he wanted to truly obtain the inheritance, naturally, the more Tao crystals he had, the better. Because the more Tao crystals there were, the longer one could last on the altar. The siblings looked at each other excitedly. In the past, when the Wen clan was at its peak, the clansmen who entered the Qianyang Grotto to receive the inheritance had to rely on their own abilities to obtain the Tao crystal. Many of the weaker clansmen did not even have the chance to enter the inheritance altar because they could not gather 10,000 myriad Tao crystals. Therefore, most of the Wen clan clansmen would choose to go to the altar to receive the inheritance as long as they reached the lowest standard when collecting Dao crystals. And now, they were following this powerful martial granduncle and could easily kill these powerful fire spirits. Even if Jiang Xi only gave them 10% of the Dao crystals he hunted, the amount was still considerable, far surpassing the harvest of the clansmen who hunted alone. This way, they would be able to gather even more Dao crystals and then go to the altar. That way, the inheritance would naturally be stable. Jiang Xi chuckled. He already had 80,000 Dao crystals in his hands, but it was still far from enough. His main goal was to refine the baleful yang energy in the altar, not the Wen clan's inheritance. At that time, if he didn't have enough Dao crystals, he wouldn't be able to refine much of the baleful yang energy. That would be tragic. Of course, it wasn't only because of the Dao crystals. In addition, the experience points provided by these fire spirits were also very considerable. The lowest level of the gold core stage was 1,000 experience points. In less than 2 hours, he had already obtained nearly 10 million experience points. On Earth, the number of monsters that could be hunted for a day was only this many. Experience points, 10,030. His experience points balance had also returned to the 100 million level. Next, Jiang Xi spread out his spirit sense again, taking the initiative to search for the fire lions hiding in the volcanoes. Under his lead, they had already hunted more than 50 fire lions. The small group of fire lions only had a dozen or so fire lions. The large group had close to 300 fire lions. Of course, there were also larger groups. However, Jiang Xi took a detour. With his current strength, it was still a bit difficult for him to deal with more than 300 gold core stage fire lions at the same time. Soon, Jiang Xi's spirit sense found a group of sleeping fire lions beside a magma river. There were only 200 of them, and the strongest one was at the late stage of the gold core stage, which was very suitable for hunting. The approach of Jiang Xi and the other two startled the group of fire lions. They immediately roared and rushed over, their ferocity overflowing. The two sides instantly engaged in battle. Jiang Xi's Gale Domain was simply a killing weapon of the same level. After the gold core stage fire lions entered the Gale Domain, they were restricted. Not long after, the group of fire lions were all killed by them, turning into a pile of fiery red Dao crystals. Jiang Xi activated the power of the domain and collected the Dao crystals. After counting, there were a total of 1,352 Dao crystals. After killing so many fire lions, Jiang Xi had already concluded a pattern. Each gold core stage fire spirit could provide 3 to 10 Dao crystals. He wasn't sure about the nascent soul stage, because so far, including the one he killed just now, he had only killed 2 nascent soul stage fire spirits, and his harvest was close to 1,000 Dao crystals. What was certain was that the higher the cultivation level of the fire spirit, the more Dao crystals it would provide. Seeing so many Dao crystals, the smiles on Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng's faces never stopped. If they followed Uncle Granduncle, they would have meat to eat. At this moment, Jiang Xi's expression changed slightly, and he raised his hand to stop the siblings from speaking. He only heard the sound of air being torn apart in the distance. Hundreds of powerful figures were approaching the group of volcanoes at an extremely fast speed. It was the young master of the Qiao family, Qiao Sui, and the team of Qiao family cultivators he led. 4 nascent soul stage cultivators and 800 gold core stage cultivators. Run! Jiang Xi didn't even think about it. The Gale Domain instantly spread out, enveloping the Wen siblings, and sped towards the depths of the volcanoes. Behind them, Qiao Sui's eyes narrowed slightly when he saw this scene. Dao Domain. Chase after them. This kind of powerhouse can easily kill those fire spirits, they must have a lot of Dao crystals on them. Instantly, more than 800 people whistled and chased after them. In these 2 hours, they had relied on their numbers to kill many non-Qiao family cultivators and obtained many Dao crystals. This is the young master of the Murong planet's Qiao family. If you offer up your Tao crystals, we can spare your lives. A middle-aged man in the early nascent soul stage also shouted. Jiang Xi and the other two naturally wouldn't care about such low-level threats. Although they had enmity with the Qiao family, there was no way they could fight with Qiao Sui with so many people. Chapter 267. When enemies met, their eyes would turn red. However, the timing was also important. It wasn't as if one had to fight the moment he saw his enemy. In such a situation, the Wen siblings gritted their teeth and suppressed the indignation and anger in their hearts as they followed riverward and flew at top speed. Qiao family. Jiang Xi's face darkened. He didn't relax at all as he pushed his speed to the limit. 800 golden core cultivators and 4 nascent soul cultivators. This kind of overall strength wasn't something he could deal with now. If he were to fight them head-on, he reckoned that a joint attack would be enough to seriously injure him. As for the Wen siblings, they might just be gone. Therefore, he had to escape. Qiao Sui also knew that it was useless to threaten them with simple words. He now had the mentality of a hunter. There were only 3 golden core cultivators, even if one of them had a Tao domain. There was no need for the 4 nascent soul cultivators to make a move. A joint attack from 800 golden core cultivators was enough to turn the 3 prey into ashes. However, even a lion would use all its strength to hunt a rabbit. Qiao Sui certainly understood this. He smiled confidently and said, "Let's go all out." 800 golden core cultivators attacked at the same time. Qiao Sui and the other 3 nascent soul cultivators also used their strongest attacks. Instantly, powerful saber lights, sword shadows, flames, and cold light accompanied by a storm of energy covered the sky as they attacked riverward and the other 2. Oh no! Jiang Xi's expression changed. Not only were there golden core cultivators attacking together, but there was also a blazing domain power that covered over and interfered with his Gale domain. It slowed down his speed a little. It was the young master of the Qiao family, Qiao Sui. He also had a Tao domain. We have to block it. If not, we'll be in danger. Although Jiang Xi was anxious, he still made a calm judgment. Boom! 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 The roaring sound of energy approached and was about to hit the area covered by the Gale domain. Shield! At the critical moment, Jiang Xi directly condensed the domain power. The Gale domain was like a shield, enveloping the 3 of them. The complete Gale domain formed a protective shield that was close to the invincible state of the nascent soul cultivators. This was his strongest defensive move. Woo! The violent collision produced a strong shock wave. Strong winds blew, mixing with the flames of the Qianyang heavenly abode and sweeping across the sky. On the other hand, Jiang Xi felt as if he had been hammered tens of thousands of times, and his entire body was about to fall apart. Damn it! Jiang Xi roared as he endured the pain. In an instant, he spread out the Gale domain. The wind whistled as the 3 of them used the shockwave produced by the joint attack to flee once again. His speed was even faster than before. This is a complete Tao domain. What a terrifying talent! Qiao Sui was shocked. He had cultivated for more than 700 years and had only cultivated the blazing flame domain to 40% completion, which was still far from perfection. The late-stage golden core cultivator in front of him actually possessed a complete Tao domain. Even in the entire Murong planet, such a level of comprehension might not even appear once in 10,000 years. They must be unparalleled geniuses from other advanced life planets. Such geniuses might have powerful magical equipment, such as ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Go after them and kill them. Qiao Sui's eyes were burning with passion. Boom! 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 For nascent soul stage cultivators and 800 golden core stage cultivators continuously attacked the 3 people in front of them. Even a nascent soul stage cultivator might not be able to withstand the surging energy. Jiang Xi relied on the protective shield formed by the Gale domain to block the attacks time and time again. In addition, the Gale domain increased his speed. Even with the Wen siblings, his speed was not inferior to a late-stage nascent soul stage cultivator. The strongest Qiao family cultivator behind him was only Qiao Sui, who was in the mid-stage nascent soul stage. Soon, the three of them disappeared from the group of volcanoes. I'm so angry. Qiao Sui watched as the three of them disappeared, leaving only the erupting volcanoes on the ground. He angrily struck out with his palm and smashed dozens of volcanoes into smithereens. The magma that flowed out formed a magma lake on the ground. For nascent soul stage cultivators and 800 golden core stage cultivators had actually allowed 3 golden core stage cultivators to escape. No one would believe it if they heard about it. They will definitely go to the inheritance altar in the core area. I have to ask father to be careful. Qiao Sui hurriedly sent a message to his father, Qiao Xian. Once the three of them were discovered, they were to be killed immediately. In his opinion, a late-stage golden core stage cultivator with a complete Dao domain, such a genius, must have treasures on him. Riverward took the Wen siblings and flew away from the group of volcanoes. They flew for another 1,000 miles before coming to a stop. They had completely shaken off their pursuers. In front of them was a dense forest of fire trees. The three of them immediately hid in the forest and rested for the time being. Martial Granduncle, Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng looked at Jiang Xi worriedly. Jiang Xi's face was pale. Although he had used the Gale domain to block so many attacks, his body was still severely injured. His entire body looked like it was about to split open. Clear cracks had appeared, and even his bones could be seen. He reckoned that after a few more attacks, his body would completely split open. I'm fine. Jiang Xi shook his head and endured the excruciating pain coming from all over his body. He took out a 1,000-year-old spiritual fruit and used the spiritual energy within to heal his injuries. 1,000-year-old spiritual fruit was clearly not enough. He ate a total of 3 before the terrifying cracks on his body completely disappeared. Then, he used his spiritual energy to carefully heal his injuries. He did not dare to use the 10,000-year-old spiritual fruit because his body was already on the verge of collapse. If he were to be struck by the immense spiritual energy, he would explode. There would be no room for negotiation. When the Wen siblings saw that Jiang Xi had recovered from his injuries, they finally heaved a sigh of relief. The two of them looked at each other. They were still in shock. This martial granduncle was just too powerful. That was the combined attack of 4 nascent soul stage cultivators and 800 golden core stage cultivators. Furthermore, it was not just once. Even a late-stage nascent soul stage cultivator could have died in the group of volcanoes after facing so many combined attacks, right? Their martial granduncle's cultivation level was about the same as theirs, but his strength was so freakish. The two of them suppressed the shock in their hearts and did not speak. They quietly waited for Jiang Xi to heal his injuries. After another quarter of an hour, Jiang Xi's injuries were completely healed. He opened his eyes with a trace of relief. If it were not for the complete protective shield formed by the Gale domain, he would not have been able to withstand those powerful combined attacks. Also, the extreme speed when he escaped was also the embodiment of the Gale domain's speed. Fortunately, I improved the Gale domain to the perfect state. Otherwise, I would have died just now. Qiao family. Jiang Xi's eyes were filled with murderous intent as a shocking chill erupted from his body. Even when he fought with Hu Yen on Earth, he did not suffer such serious injuries. Martial granduncle, just bear with it for a while. Wen Yoxin smiled bitterly. Yes, martial granduncle. You will only have a chance to take revenge if you are alive. Wen Feng also advised. They were worried that this young martial granduncle would go after Qiao Sui in a rage. Of course, the two of them hated the Qiao family to the core. However, after so many years of escaping, they had learned to endure. Chapter 268. Jiang Xi let out a long breath and regained his composure. He shook his head and said, "It's fine, I know my limits. Let's continue hunting fire spirits." Seeing this, the Wen siblings finally relaxed. Subsequently, the three of them continued hunting fire spirits in this fire tree forest. There were quite a number of fire spirits in Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Other than the core region, there was a fire spirit tribe in each of the other 4 regions. The fire lion fire spirit that was hiding in the volcano group just now was the fire spirit. And in this fire tree forest lived a vermilion bird fire spirit. However, no matter what kind of fire spirit it was, most of them were at the golden core stage. Only a small number of them were at the nascent soul stage. With Jiang Xi's strength, he could easily deal with them. The 3 of them crazily hunted and obtained Tao crystals in this fire tree forest. Occasionally, they would encounter other cultivators, but they were not bloodthirsty people. They did not pay attention to those who were fighting with the fire spirits or were about to be killed by the fire spirits. Rather than wasting time on these ordinary cultivators, it was better to kill more fire spirits. That way, the speed of obtaining Tao crystals would be faster. As time passed, the 3 of them realized that the number of fire spirits was decreasing. They knew that the fire spirits here were about to be killed. It's about time. Let's go to the inheritance altar in the core region. Jiang Xi kept the Tao crystals that he had just obtained from killing the fire spirits and turned his gaze to the core region. Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng's eyes lit up, filled with excitement and anticipation. Because the 2 of them had more than 30,000 Tao crystals on them. This number, even during their Wen family's heyday, only the top golden core geniuses in the family could barely gather so many. Bringing so many Tao crystals to obtain the inheritance, the success rate was definitely very high. Jiang Xi was also filled with anticipation. He had close to 250,000 Tao crystals on him. It was definitely stable. As for going so late, would the inheritance in the inheritance altar be obtained by someone else first? Jiang Xi was not worried at all. Firstly, his main goal was the Yang energy and not the Wen family's inheritance. Secondly, the Wen family's inheritance was not so easy to obtain. If he did not have enough Tao crystals, it would be useless even if he went. He would not even be able to enter the inheritance altar. What if others also collected enough Tao crystals? Well, there was no what if. Did he really think that 2 Tao integration stage super mighty figures were useless? When Daoist Gu and Wen Yan built Qianyang Grotto Heaven, in order to prevent future accidents, they had already left a backup plan in the inheritance altar. The method of unsealing the seal that Wen Yoxin had been painstakingly searching for was one of the backup plans. The core area of Qianyang Grotto Heaven was not big. Apart from the inheritance altar surrounded by a sea of fire, there was nothing else. This sea of fire was the embodiment of the power of the blood forbidden trigram fire array. If he did not have the energy of the Tao crystal to protect his body, he would have rashly entered the sea of fire of the blood forbiddenly fire array. In an instant, it would be burned to ashes by the Tao of fire. Qiao Xian had long since memorized these precautions. He waited for Qiao Sui to send over the collected Tao crystals. At the same time, he brought along 2 nascent soul stage cultivators and 200 Aurus core stage cultivators to guard the entire blood forbidden trigram fire formation and forbade outsiders from entering. 3 foreign cultivators with ordinary looks? Qiao Xian pondered over his son Qiao Sui's message, and the images of the 3 foreign cultivators surfaced in his mind. Sui has 3 other nascent soul stage experts and 800 Aurus core stage cultivators with him. Even I would have to expend a lot of effort to block their combined attacks. A peerless genius from another advanced planet? He doesn't even have a Tao protector by his side, so he probably doesn't come from a powerful faction. Even if he dies in Qianyang Grotto Heaven, no one will pursue the matter. In terms of vision and knowledge, he clearly knew more than his son. He had lived for more than 1,000 years, but he had only mastered 70% of the blazing fire domain. A peerless genius who could master a complete Dao domain at the late-stage Aurus core stage would at least have a Dao protector with primordial soul stage battle prowess. If he didn't, it meant that he was just a talented and lucky little fellow. Search carefully. If we can stop these 3 people, we might find something unexpected. Qiao Xian was looking forward to it. Just as he was thinking, he suddenly heard a commotion from another direction. Why can't we go in? Too domineering. It's not like this is owned by your family. Aren't you afraid of incurring the wrath of the masses with your actions? Qiao Xian frowned and went over in a flash. He saw 7 ordinary Aurus core cultivators trying to enter the core region, but they were stopped by the Qiao family cultivators. Scram if you don't want to die. Qiao Xian released the aura of a nascent soul stage cultivator. The 7 people paled and hurriedly fled. Qiao Xian only watched without taking action. Situations like this had happened many times since the beginning. Qiao Sui had taken away 800 Aurus core cultivators, but he had only left 200 behind. However, those he had left behind were all late-stage Aurus core cultivators, and 2 of them were mid-stage nascent soul stage cultivators. Such an overall strength was definitely one of the best in the Grotto Heaven mystic realm. There was no other. However, Qiao Xian only guarded the core region and prevented anyone from entering. He did not kill anyone. Indeed, as these people had said, he was also worried about incurring the wrath of the masses. Now, many people were watching the core region. If they were to kill in public, it might cause the scattered cultivators to band together. We can only hold them back for a while. Once Sui returns, we'll have to let them go. Qiao Xian was very clear about the situation. If they were to hold them back for too long, something would happen sooner or later. After all, there were more than 20,000 foreign cultivators. The Qiao family did not have the strength to face the wrath of so many people at the same time. He only wanted to be the first to enter the altar and obtain the inheritance once he had enough doctrine crystals. Before that, no one was allowed to enter. Of course, just because he did not kill anyone here did not mean that the Qiao family would not kill anyone. That was why he had sent his son Qiao Sui out as a backup. At the same time, on a mountaintop not far from the core region, Zhang Xi was standing there with the Wen family siblings. They had also seen what had just happened. The Qiao family deserves to die. The Wen family siblings were furious and worried at the same time. With the Qiao family guarding, it would be difficult to enter the inheritance altar. 1 late-stage nascent soul stage cultivator, 2 mid-stage nascent soul stage cultivators, and 2 late-stage Aurus core cultivators. Such an overall strength was not inferior to Qiao Sui's group. Don't worry, they'll let them go. Zhang Xi's expression was calm. He was not anxious at all. This was obvious. If Qiao Xian still dared to hold them back when more people arrived and angered the cultivators, it would be strange if they did not beat their brains out. Moreover, Feng Xi, Zheng Yuqing, and the rest had yet to make a move. Would these geniuses from the top immortal sects be willing to be held back? Chapter 269. Following that, many ordinary cultivators were stopped by the Qiao clan. Although many of them were furious, they did not dare to make a move. Faced with 3 nascent soul cultivators and 200 golden core late-stage cultivators, if they wanted to enter the core area, they would have to form an alliance and become stronger than the Qiao clan cultivators. The problem was that they were all competitors and were wary of each other. It would be difficult to get them to form an alliance unless they were at their wits' end. This was also the reason why Qiao Xian dared to stop them. As time passed, more and more cultivators discovered the core area and saw the majestic altar. They knew that the inheritance was located there. Therefore, more and more cultivators gathered in the core area. The Qiao clan cultivators continued to stop others from entering, relying on their strength. A feeling of anger and dissatisfaction brewed among the cultivators and became more and more dangerous. Soon, a team of 100 cultivators flew over from the western region at high speed. The leader was Zheng Yuqing, a nascent soul cultivator from the Four Symbols sect of the Minglan Star region. Zheng Yuqing stopped at the edge of the core area and saw the many Qiao clan cultivators guarding the sky, as well as Qiao Xian. Qiao Xian, what's the meaning of this? He asked in a low voice. Of course, he knew that the ruling clan of the Murong planet was the Qiao clan, but he did not want to reveal it to Feng Si and the others. Qiao Xian flew over and chuckled. Greetings, fellow Taoist from the Four Symbols sect. If you want to enter, please enter. Then, he ordered his clansmen to disperse. He knew that stopping them was the limit. If he continued, something bad might happen. Moreover, Qiao Sui had already sent him a message and would be back soon. It did not matter whether he stopped them or not. However, Zheng Yuqing did not immediately step into the sea of fire of the Blood Prohibition Trigram Fire Formation. A thoughtful look appeared on his rugged face. He was a genius disciple of a top immortal Tao sect and had seen many things. He could easily tell that the sea of fire in front of him was actually a powerful formation. This sea of fire formation vaguely exudes a trace of the Tao of heaven and earth. It must be a test left behind by that immortal integration expert. The Tao essence contained in those Tao crystals is almost the same as here. According to the sect's records of some immortal integration places of inheritance, it can be inferred that those Tao crystals are key items to pass the test. But I still have to be careful. I can't go in first. Thinking of this, Zheng Yuqing said to a disciple of the same sect, refine these Tao crystal, go in and try. As he spoke, he took out 3 Tao crystals and handed them to the disciple. People were sacrificing their lives to explore the way. Qiao Xian had not retreated too far. When he saw Zheng Yuqing's actions, he sighed inwardly. Unexpectedly, this Zheng Yuqing was a very meticulous person despite his ferocious appearance. As expected, none of the genius disciples of the top immortal Tao sects were easy to fool. To be honest, Qiao Xian did not know how powerful this blood-forbidden trigram fire array was. After all, apart from the members of the Wen clan, no one else had entered before. Therefore, Qiao Xian adopted a wait-and-see attitude. He wanted to see what would happen after the Four Symbols sect disciples entered. The Four Symbols sect disciples' expression changed when he heard Zheng Yuqing's request, but he could not refuse. Because Zheng Yuqing was a genius of the sect, and he was just an ordinary disciple. He grabbed 3 fingernail-sized Tao crystals and quickly refined them. Then, he felt strands of powerful Tao power in his body, as if they were about to break out of his body. He gritted his teeth and directly charged into the sea of fire in front of him. Strangely, after entering the sea of fire, he felt some kind of restriction. He could not fly and could only run with all his might. His speed was only slightly faster than ordinary people. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Puff! This middle-stage Golden Core Four Symbols sect disciple only ran 100 meters in the sea of fire before he dissipated into thin air like smoke. Seeing such a scene, the ordinary cultivators who were guarding outside the core area were stunned. A middle-stage Golden Core Four Symbols sect disciple only lasted 3 seconds in the sea of fire? What kind of fire was this sea of fire? Many people wanted to retreat. The inheritance was important, but their lives were more important. On the other side, Zheng Yuqing had more or less confirmed his conjecture then. He had another late-stage Golden Core disciple refine 10 Tao crystals and enter the sea of fire again. That disciple had a look of despair as he ran with all his might toward the inheritance altar. However, he only lasted 10 seconds. After running a full 500 meters, he was still turned into ashes by the sea of fire. Zheng Yuqing's eyes flashed. The death of his 2 fellow disciples did not affect his mood at all. What he was concerned about was the distance these 2 fellow disciples had covered in the sea of fire. The first disciple, after refining 3 Tao crystals, persisted for 3 seconds and ran out 100 meters. The second disciple used 10 Tao crystals to last 10 seconds and ran 500 meters. It was not surprising that this powerful sea of fire array formation would suppress a cultivator's cultivation and speed. After all, this was the inheritance ground of a Tao integration elite. What was certain was that Tao crystals could withstand the power of the Sea of Fire array formation. Each Tao crystal could last for 1 second. The edge of the Sea of Fire is about 100,000 meters away from the altar. Based on this calculation, a round trip would take about 5,000 Tao crystals. I only have 90,000 Tao crystals. Considering that I'll have to spend a lot of time obtaining the inheritance at the altar, these Tao crystals are not enough. Zheng Yuqing's gaze swept across the cultivators around him. Then, he noticed Feng Si and Fu Zai who were hidden among the cultivators. He looked at Xiao Xian and suddenly had an idea. In the distance, on an inconspicuous mountain peak. Uncle Granduncle. The Wen clan siblings turned to look at Jiang Xi. With their ancestral land in front of them, the two of them were anxious to enter. At the same time, they were worried that someone would enter the altar before them. Jiang Xi shook his head slightly and told them to calm down. Many people had yet to make a move. At that moment, the situation changed. Someone had made a move. Without any warning, Xiao Xian waved his hand and slapped a few times at the ordinary cultivators who were watching from the periphery of the core area. The raging power of the domain and the blazing flames instantly formed a firestorm that looked like it could destroy the world. Hundreds of golden core cultivators in that area were slapped to death instantly. Their storage Dharma treasures were swept away by Xiao Xian's domain power. Xiao Xian was not the only one. Zheng Yuqing, Feng Si, Fu Zai, and the others in their training teams also made a move at the same time. The four sides reached a consensus to kill these ordinary cultivators. Most of the fire spirits had been killed, but these cultivators would definitely have Tao crystals on them. For a moment, chaos broke out everywhere. This is crazy. The major factions are killing people. Someone wanted to run away. Everyone, let's join forces and fight it out with them. Some people were hot-blooded and wanted to fight head-on. Take advantage of the chaos and charge into the Sea of Fire. Who knows, we might be able to reach the altar and obtain the inheritance. Some people were still holding on to hope. The ordinary cultivators were scattered and had their own plans. There was no way they could organize an effective resistance. Chapter 270. Xiao Xian, Zheng Yuqing, Feng Si and Fu Zai each unleashed their strongest attacks to kill those ordinary cultivators. Although their combat strength could not be considered as invincible among the nascent soul realm, they were still at the top. Those powerful attacks were accompanied by the frightening power of the domain. Those ordinary cultivators were unable to withstand them at all. Death upon contact. Furthermore, other than Fu Zai who was alone, the other three had subordinates who were elites of the same cultivation realm. Although Feng Si had few subordinates, there were 4 nascent souls in his team of 10 and their overall strength was equally strong. Hundreds of people chased after more than 20,000 ordinary cultivators and killed them in a frenzy. Some of them fled into the Sea of Fire of the Blood Seal Leaf Fire Formation in a desperate attempt to try their luck. However, they were reduced to ashes in the blink of an eye. That was because many people were still unaware of the use of Tao crystals. Earlier on, when Zheng Yuqing used his fellow disciples to scout the path, many people only saw the surface and did not know that the 2 disciples only entered after refining Tao crystals. After more than 100 people were devoured by the Sea of Fire, no one dared to charge in anymore and only wanted to escape. Despair spread through the hearts of the ordinary cultivators. Was this still a legacy of the essence spirit realm? It was way too terrifying. They would die if they entered the Sea of Fire. If they did not, they would be in danger of being hunted down and killed. Many people regretted coming here out of greed for the opportunity. Large numbers of golden core cultivators were killed one after another. Instead, the 600-odd nascent soul cultivators died even faster. That was because they were strong and had obtained more Tao crystals previously. Therefore, the firepower of Xiao Xian and the others was focused on them first. Not many of the 20,000-odd ordinary cultivators died when they hunted the fire spirits. However, more than half of them died here. Jiang Xi was unperturbed by that even though he was the one who manipulated the situation to a large extent. These people had all come here because they had received the news that he had spread. However, many people did not realize that they had to be prepared to die if they wanted to fight for the opportunity. High returns meant high risks. That was a commonly accepted logic. After all, how could there be such a good thing in this world? Faced with the killing of the 4 factions, Jiang Xi did not reveal his full strength lest he was targeted. He deliberately avoided the nascent soul cultivators. Therefore, those who came to deal with him and the Wen siblings were basically all in the golden core stage. With such strength, Jiang Xi could easily kill him. At the same time, he could also take the storage magic treasure that the young man had just obtained for himself. As a result, he obtained quite a few Dao crystals. Scram! With a swing of his sword, Jiang Xi easily killed a late-stage golden core cultivator of the Qiao family. He only used the complete sword intent. He wasn't worried about being recognized by the Qiao family. After escaping from Qiao Sui's joint attack, he and the Wen siblings had changed their faces with masks. No one would be able to recognize the 3 new faces unless they were in the primordial soul stage or if he exposed his Gale domain. At this time, a group of several hundred Qiao clan cultivators flew over from afar, led by Qiao clan's young master, Qiao Sui. He had returned from a hunt. As a result, the strength of the 4 forces doubled again. The ordinary cultivators who had not managed to escape in time had even less of a chance to do so. Only despair remained. Of the 20,000 people, only 4,000 to 5,000 were left, and the number was still decreasing rapidly. It's about time. Jiang Xi had been observing his surroundings. While he led the Wen siblings to block the attacks of the 4 forces, he had also been shifting his position. Now, he had arrived at the edge of the Blood Seal Trigram Fire Array's Sea of Fire. The hundreds of cultivators who had risked their lives to charge into the Sea of Fire provided a good cover for his next move. Taking advantage of the chaos to enter the Blood Seal Trigram Fire Array's Sea of Fire. They had to act. If they waited until most of the ordinary cultivators were dead, the 3 of them might be besieged. It just so happened that they were only a step away from the Sea of Fire. Dao Crystal. Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings refined the Dao Crystal at the same time, charged into the Sea of Fire, and ran toward the inheritance altar. The 4 forces didn't expect that there would still be people who dared to charge into the Sea of Fire. Therefore, when Jiang Xi led the Wen siblings into the Sea of Fire, no one stopped them. It was only after Jiang Xi and the other 2 had run 1,000 meters that the crowd realized what was going on. Someone was hiding their strength. They wanted to take advantage of the chaos. Qiao Xian, Zheng Yuqing, Feng Si, and Fu Zai's expressions turned cold. After that, he stopped chasing after the remaining 5,000 or so ordinary cultivators. They turned to take the Dao crystal that their subordinates had collected and refined a portion of it before charging into the Sea of Fire, trying to catch up to Jiang Xi and the other 2. However, they soon realized that Jiang Xi was much faster than them. They couldn't catch up. The 4 of them didn't look too good. After killing the ordinary cultivators for half a day, they didn't expect to find an expert of the same level as them hiding among them. That's the wind-related Dao domain that Sui mentioned? No, these 3 people look different from the ones Sui sent in the transmission. There's no such coincidence. They must have some means to disguise themselves. They might not even be late-stage golden core cultivators, but nascent soul cultivators. Qiao Xian's expression darkened, feeling like he had been played. Trying to take advantage of the chaos to obtain the inheritance. A Dao integration inheritance isn't that easy to obtain. Qiao Xian's gaze was cold as he stared at the backs of Jiang Xi and the other 2. Feng Si, Fu Zai, and Zheng Yuqing had the same thought. Although they couldn't catch up to Jiang Xi, they weren't too worried. The difficulty of obtaining a Dao integration inheritance was usually very high. Even they didn't have much confidence in succeeding. As the four of them advanced, they continuously refined the Dao crystal and used the energy of the Dao to resist the power of the blood prohibition leaf fire formation. After the massacre earlier, they had more than 200,000 Dao crystals in their hands. Qiao Xian, in particular, had the most Dao crystals on him now, a total of 250,000. His son Qiao Sui alone had brought him a total of 150,000 Dao crystals. The consensus now was that the more Dao crystals one had, the longer one could last in the Sea of Fire formation. This made it easier to comprehend the inheritance left behind by a Dao integration expert. The distance from the edge of the Sea of Fire to the inheritance altar was a total of 100,000 meters. With the support of the Gale domain, Jiang Xi's speed was nearly twice as fast as the four people behind him, even though he was carrying the Wen siblings. 15 minutes later, he and the Wen siblings finally arrived in front of the inheritance altar. The inheritance altar covered an area of 100 square kilometers and was 100 feet tall. Its entire body was made of dark red stones and was extremely majestic. Waves of Li Fire Dao rhymes emanated from the inheritance altar, carrying an aura that seemed to be able to burn the soul. It spread throughout the Sea of Fire and then the entire Qianyang Grotto heaven. Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng were excited. Ever since the Wen family was exterminated, the surviving members of the Wen family had never entered the ancestral land of inheritance again. Chapter 271. The surviving clansmen of the Wen clan could only imagine the scenery of their ancestral land through the jade slips of the family tree, dreaming of the scene when they obtained the inheritance. Now, the siblings were only one step away from their dreams coming true. They had already arrived at the Wen clan's inheritance altar. As long as they obtained the inheritance, their dreams could be realized. What are you waiting for? Let's go up. Jiang Xi smiled. His master had entrusted him with the task of visiting the Wen clan. However, seeing the Wen clan in such a state, if he did not help them, his master would probably visit him in his dreams. If he could help the Wen siblings obtain the Wen clan's inheritance, it would be considered as fulfilling his master's task. Jiang Xi turned around to take a look. Behind him, Qiao Xian, Zheng Yuqing, Feng Si, and Fu Zai were only halfway there. Then, Jiang Xi and the other two walked up the stairs and climbed to the top of the inheritance altar with anticipation. When the Wen clan's ancestor, Wen Yan, opened up the Qianyang Grotto heaven and established the inheritance ancestral land, he had specially separated a wisp of his Li Fire Dao. This wisp of Li Fire Dao used the inheritance altar's blood forbidden Li Fire formation as its core and merged with the entire Qianyang Grotto heaven. When Jiang Xi, Wen Yoxin, and Wen Feng reached the top of the inheritance altar, they could clearly sense the wisp of Li Fire Dao that permeated the heaven and earth. The inheritance altar that spanned over 100 square kilometers was enveloped by a Dao aura. The intense Dao aura exuded a pressure that seemed to transcend the natural order of life, making the three of them feel deep veneration. Jiang Xi took a deep breath and said to the Wen siblings, "Carefully sense the Li Fire Dao aura here. If you don't have enough Dao crystals, ask for more from me." "Thank you, Uncle Granduncle." The two of them were extremely grateful. The blood-forbidden Li Fire formation existed around the inheritance altar in the form of a sea of fire. The inheritance altar was the core of the formation. Being here, they had to constantly refine Dao crystals and use the wisp of Li Fire Dao aura in the Dao crystals to resist the power that could incinerate everything. Jiang Xi had a lot of Dao crystals on him. Previously, he had obtained close to 250,000 Dao crystals from hunting fire spirits. Just now, when the four forces had joined forces to kill those ordinary cultivators, he had conveniently killed many cultivators from the four forces. Now, he had close to 300,000 Dao crystals on him. A Dao crystal could last for 1 second in the blood-forbidden Li Fire array. Such a number was enough to ensure that they could last for a long time at the inheritance altar. "Remember, don't make any moves," Jiang Xi warned again. Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng chuckled. They had also seen this warning in the clan record's jade slips. The inheritance altar was the most sacred place of the Wen clan. There was a ban laid down by the patriarch here. If anyone dared to make a move on the inheritance altar without permission, they would be punished. Then, the three of them found a place and sat down cross-legged. Compared to the huge inheritance altar, they seemed very small. The Wen clan siblings closed their eyes. As they refined the Tao crystal, they began to seriously comprehend the leaf fire Tao charm that permeated the world. When they started to comprehend, the leaf fire Tao rhymes were like naughty children, dancing and circling around the two of them. When Jiang Xi saw this, he fell into deep thought. This pair of brother and sister were of the Wen clan's bloodline. The wisp of Ignis Tao left behind by the Wen family's ancestor had a natural affinity with the two of them. Master once mentioned in the inherited memories that the Wen clan members had to go through to obtain the inheritance in the Qianyang Grotto heaven. First, you have to hunt fire spirits and obtain enough Tao crystals. This is equivalent to a test before the inheritance. The Tao crystal is the foundation of everything. With the Tao crystal, you will have the time and opportunity to comprehend the leaf fire Tao charm left behind by Uncle Master Wen Yen at the inheritance altar. If the inheritance altar is a door, then the leaf fire Tao charm is the key. After successfully comprehending the Tao charm, you will be able to open the door and enter the door. That is the true Wen clan inheritance. However, even if you successfully enter the door, you will still need a seal removal method. This step by step was enough to show how difficult it was to obtain the inheritance. Jiang Xi was not worried that someone would beat him to it. This was the reason why he was not worried. Those who were not from the Wen clan or did not have a seal removal method, even if they comprehended the leaf fire Tao charm at the inheritance altar, they would not be able to obtain the final inheritance. Of course, Jiang Xi was not in the list of restrictions. However, his main target now was the baleful yang energy sealed under the inheritance altar. Whether it was outside or inside the door, it would not affect his refining of the dark yang energy. Therefore, he had a clear goal and did not comprehend the leaf fire Tao charm first. Instead, he formed tens of thousands of seals with both hands and slapped them on the surface of the inheritance altar. In the next moment, many complex array runes appeared on the smooth surface of the altar where he was sitting cross-legged. Waves of extremely pure and vigorous energy passed through the array runes and surged up from below, directly entering Jiang Xi's body. Dark yang energy. It's very sufficient. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. The seals that he had formed earlier were to open a hole in the blood prohibition leaf fire array that covered the inheritance altar. He would release the dark yang energy sealed under the inheritance altar. When Riverward sensed the dense energy gushing out, he didn't waste any time. With a thought, he quickly activated the yin-yang nourishment technique. Suddenly, an inexplicable attraction appeared in his body and absorbed all the dark yang energy that surged up into his body without any wastage. The combination of yin and yang. I have refined a lot of dark yang energy before, so I am attracted to the dark yang energy. Therefore, I don't need to absorb much of it now and the dark yang energy will automatically enter my body. Jiang Xi smiled as he had expected this. Then, he began to refine the dark yang energy that surged into his body. In his lower dantian, the wind and sword shadows emitted an inexplicable Tao charm that surrounded his golden core and kept circling. When the refined dark yang energy entered his lower dantian, suddenly, the speed of the circling increased. The golden core's transformation accelerated as if it had a life and was rapidly forming. Absorb, absorb, absorb. Jiang Xi's face was filled with excitement as he frantically absorbed and refined the dark yang energy that surged up from below the inheritance altar. As for whether the dark yang energy would affect the Wen family's inheritance ancestral land and Qianyang Grotto heaven, the answer was yes. Of course there would be an impact. Moreover, it would be a destructive impact. The blood prohibition leaf fire array was set up by his master, Taoist Gu. Now, Taoist Ji's remnant soul had dissipated. The reason why this array could still operate was mainly because of the dark yang energy. Without the dark yang energy, the blood prohibition leaf fire array would lose its most important source of energy. Soon, this array would gradually disappear like the heaven and earth spirit lock array and the outer seal of Qianyang Grotto heaven. The consequence of the unsealing would be the collapse of the inheritance altar. At that time, the entire Qianyang Grotto heaven would be destroyed. Chapter 272. Before coming to Murong planet, he did not expect such an accident to happen. Jiang Xi's original plan was to only refine a small portion of the yang energy without affecting the seal of the array formation. This way, he could ensure the normal operation of the Wen family's inheritance altar. Now, in Riverward's opinion, if he was crippled, then so be it. The outer seal of Qianyang Grotto heaven had already been unsealed. Without the protection of the array formation, anyone could enter. When the time came, news of this place would spread. The inheritance of a Dao integration stage expert would definitely attract powerful essence soul or even Dao integration stage cultivators. The Wen family had declined to such a state. Only Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng were left. They did not have the ability to control this Grotto Heaven mystic realm. Rather than exposing the Wen family's inheritance to those experts, it was better to destroy it. Daoist Ge and Wen Yan would probably agree with him. Therefore, Riverward did not have any misgivings as he wantonly absorbed and refined the baleful yang energy sealed beneath the inheritance altar. The speed of the golden core's transformation is 100 times faster than before. Under normal circumstances, he would need 10 years to complete the golden core's transformation. Even if it was 100 times faster now, it would still take at least a month. But, with the number of Dao crystals I can only last for 3.5 days at most. This is far from enough. I need to be faster. With that, he made a few more hand seals and increased the speed of the yang energy release by 10 times. And the speed of the golden core's transformation was 1,000 times faster. Feeling the surging yang energy below, Jiang Xi only had one word left in his heart: super awesome. I can still split a portion of my attention to comprehend the leaf fire Dao rhymes here. Jiang Xi realized that he still had the energy to think about his messy matters while refining the yang energy. Therefore, he hurriedly focused on comprehending the leaf fire Dao rhymes. Since he was already here, he could not waste such a good opportunity. When he began to comprehend it, the leaf fire Daoist rhyme that permeated the inheritance altar did not approach him like it did with the Wen siblings. In other words, it was more difficult for him to comprehend. It's because of the bloodline. The blood restriction leaf fire array, as the name suggested, was related to bloodline. After all, this was the legacy of the Wen family. The leaf fire Dao runes here were closer to the Wen family members. This formation is truly magical. After Jiang Xi understood this, he didn't think too much about it. This formation was recorded in his inherited memories. He could slowly study it when he returned. Subsequently, he focused on refining the baleful yang energy while comprehending the leaf fire Dao runes. About a quarter of an hour later, Jiang Xi suddenly opened his eyes and looked at the steps of the inheritance altar. There came the sound of rapid footsteps. Only then did the Wen siblings notice the abnormality. They also looked in the direction of the footsteps. 4 figures appeared. Qiao Xian, Zhen Yuqing, Feng Si, and Fu Zai had caught up. After they ascended the inheritance altar, they immediately saw Jiang Xi and the other 2 sitting cross-legged. Some people's eyes were filled with killing intent as they directly attacked. Between Qiao Xian and Fu Zai, one struck out a blazing palm print, while the other unsheathed his twin sabers and slashed out in a crisscross manner. Palm prints, saber lights, and domain power set off an energy storm. The destructive attacks attacked Jiang Xi and the other 2. However, at that moment, the inheritance altar blazed with fire. The 2's attacks were instantly reduced to nothingness. At the same time, the leaf fire Dao runes seemed to have gained sentience. They turned into wisps of flames and landed on their bodies. Oh no! There's a Tao integration expert's martial law here. Their expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly circulated their spirit energy to resist the punishment of the flames. Then, they realized that using the energy of the Tao crystal was even more effective. Hence, they quickly refined the Tao crystal. As for the other two, Feng Si and Zhen Yuqing did not make a move. They came from top immortal Tao sections. Naturally, they knew that there were many taboos in the inheritance grounds of Tao integration experts. The most common taboos were that they couldn't fight or scold others. Feng Si and Zhen Yuqing looked at Jiang Xi and the other two in surprise. It seemed that these three late-stage golden core cultivators of unknown origins were also aware of these taboos. This was because Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings had not made any moves from the beginning. Even when faced with Qiao Xian and Fu Zai's sudden attack, they watched quietly. The two were even more curious about the origins of Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings. Could they be genius disciples from other top immortal Tao sects in the Zixiao region? There was no answer. They watched as Qiao Xian and Fu Zai desperately refined the Tao crystal and used the energy of the Tao runes to expel the flames on their bodies. Jiang Xi's expression was indifferent. However, the Wen siblings were in a good mood. Wasn't fighting at the inheritance altar the same as courting death? The punishment here, especially for non-Wen family members, was even harsher. Fortunately, the two attackers were both late-stage nascent soul cultivators. Moreover, they were top nascent soul cultivators. Otherwise, they would have been burned to ashes by the flames of the leaf fire Tao runes. Qiao Xian and Fu Zai took 10 minutes to expel the flames of the leaf fire Tao runes from their bodies. Their expressions were gloomy. They were furious and distressed. Not only had they wasted time, but they had also used up a total of 50,000 Tao crystals. They once again looked at Jiang Xi and the other two on the other side of the inheritance altar. At this time, Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings had already closed their eyes to continue comprehending the leaf fire Tao runes in order not to waste time. These three dogs. Qiao Xian cursed. He wanted to kill them, but he held himself back. The next moment, the leaf fire Tao runes around him turned into wisps of flames again and landed on his body. Qiao Xian's expression changed again. He hurriedly took out his Tao crystal and refined it frantically. Then, he used up another 50,000 Tao crystals. He originally had close to 250,000 Tao crystals. After the two punishments, he was left with less than 150,000. Qiao Xian was very careful and did not dare to make any more moves. If he violated any more taboos and used up all his Tao crystals, he would have no fate with the inheritance. Feng Si, Zhen Yuqing, and Fu Zai, who had just been punished, were all secretly rejoicing. They no longer paid attention to Jiang Xi and the other two and began to observe the situation of the inheritance altar. After looking around, they realized that the dark red inheritance altar was extremely smooth and there was nothing particularly obvious about it. However, the four of them still noticed some differences. This place is similar to some of the Tao integration inheritance grounds recorded in the sect. By comprehending the Tao runes here, one can comprehend the inheritance left behind by a Tao integration expert. Feng Si and Zhen Yuqing had read many ancient books in their respective sections. They were more familiar with such situations and quickly confirmed some of the details of the inheritance altar. The patriarch once said that comprehending the Tao runes would open the door. Although I don't know what the door is, the Tao runes must be the key. Qiao Xian's eyes shone. He recalled a spiritual consciousness exchange with the patriarch many years ago. The only abnormality is that the Tao runes of the heaven and earth Tao are denser here. It seems that comprehending the Tao runes is the key to obtaining the inheritance of that Tao integration expert. Although Fu Zai did not have any family inheritance or master, he had also grasped the key with his many years of experience exploring dangerous places in the universe. The four of them each had their own thoughts. Then, They each found a spot on the inheritance altar and began to comprehend the leaf fire Tao runes here. Nobody noticed the abnormality beneath Jiang Xi's buttocks. That was because the malevolent yang energy that surged up was completely absorbed and refined by Jiang Xi and did not dissipate. Furthermore, nobody would have thought that such a precious item would be sealed here. Therefore, Jiang Xi refined the malevolent yang energy in peace as his golden core transformed rapidly. At the same time, he was comprehending the leaf fire Tao runes. Time passed by and the gigantic inheritance altar was silent. 6 hours later, the silence was broken. Chapter 273. The one who broke the silence was the dignified and gentle elder sister of the Wen family, Wen Yoxin. More and more leaf fire Tao runes circled around Wen Yoxin. The Tao runes seemed to have been captured and attracted inexplicably. All of them entered Wen Yoxin's body and spread out. There seemed to be no change in the process. However, after this process, Wen Yoxin's body silently exuded the aura of a domain. This aura was extremely similar to the leaf fire Tao runes. Leaf fire domain. Jiang Xi opened his eyes and smiled when he sensed this aura. One of the Wen family siblings had already succeeded in comprehending it. Both of them had comprehended fire-related Tao true intent to begin with. Now, Wen Yoxin had used the leaf fire Tao runes here to comprehend the leaf fire domain. Sister. Wen Feng was pleasantly surprised. He did not speak, afraid that he would disturb Wen Yoxin. Wen Yoxin was in the midst of an epiphany. The leaf fire Tao runes that seemed to have spirituality were helping her complete the condensation of her Tao domain. In the distance, the gazes of Qiao Xian and the others were also attracted by this scene. She comprehended it so quickly. Impossible. How many hours has it been? Although the Tao runes of the heaven and earth Tao left behind by that Tao integration expert are extremely dense here, even the geniuses of the Tao alliance's 3 sects and 6 sects wouldn't be able to comprehend it in such a short time. Feng Si, Fu Zai, and Zheng Yuqing were all in disbelief. Although Qiao Xian did not speak, his eyes were extremely sinister. He had a guess in his heart. There's another possibility. She's the inheritor of that Tao integration expert's bloodline. The other 2 must also be remnants of the Wen family. Qiao Xian glanced at Jiang Xi and Wen Feng. Previously, the Qiao family had sent more than 50 Golden Core clansmen to hunt down a male cultivator suspected to be a remnant of the Wen family. However, all of them died. That man happened to be a late-stage Golden Core. Qiao Xian locked his gaze on Jiang Xi. A late-stage Golden Core cultivator with a complete Tao domain. With such strength, he can easily kill more than 50 Golden Core cultivators. There were not so many coincidences in the world. He quickly connected the dots. The 3 before him must be the remnants of the Wen family. The Wen clan's inheritance was naturally prepared for the Wen clan's bloodline. Otherwise, the young lady would not have been able to comprehend the Taoist rhymes here so quickly. Moreover, when they came up just now, these 3 people were unscathed, as if they already knew about this place. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a remnant of the Wen family, it would have been impossible for him to be so familiar with the situation of the Tao integration stage inheritance ground. A mere late-stage Golden Core cultivator. Even if he obtains the inheritance, he needs to be alive to leave this place. This is the perfect opportunity to exterminate the remnants of the Wen family. Qiao Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. With that in mind, he sent a message to his son, Qiao Sui, who was guarding the edge of the Sea of Fire. He asked Qiao Sui to lead his men to guard the entire core area. Meanwhile, the leaf fire domain that spread out from Wen Yoxin's body became more and more condensed as it rapidly took shape. Suddenly, the smooth surface of the inheritance altar around her lit up with complicated formation runes. When Yoxin woke up with a start, she only saw Jiang Xi nodding towards her. Then she disappeared in a flash of light. Qiao Xian and the others were stunned by this scene. What was going on? Feng Si from the Zhangyan sect and Zhen Yuqing from the Four Symbols sect quickly reacted. That flash of light was the same as the teleportation array. Could there be another paradise? Was the inheritance there? One could enter after comprehending the Tao rhymes here. The two of them looked at each other and thought of the same thing. However, they did not say anything and continued to comprehend. She opened the door that the patriarch spoke of. Xiao Xian's eyes turned even colder. As expected, comprehending the Tao rhymes here is the key. Fu Zai confirmed his guess. Compared to them, Jiang Xi was not surprised. When Yoxin had comprehended the leaf-fire Tao rhymes and naturally opened the door to receive the true inheritance. Between the Wen siblings, Wen Feng's comprehension ability was obviously weaker. It would probably take some time for him to comprehend something. Or, if his comprehension ability was worse, he would not be able to comprehend it at all. All in all, after 6 hours, more than half of the 30,000 Tao crystals on Wen Feng had been used up. Therefore, Jiang Xi gave Wen Feng another 30,000 Tao crystals. Wen Feng was once again extremely grateful. As long as he followed his uncle-granduncle, there was no need to ask about food and drink. Jiang Xi merely shook his head and chuckled. He still had more than 200,000 Tao crystals on him. Regardless of whether he could comprehend the leaf-fire Tao rhymes, it was enough to support him in refining the yang malevolent power. With 1,000 times faster golden core nurturing speed, he would only need 3 days to complete the transformation. I can only split a portion of my attention to comprehend the leaf-fire Tao rhymes here. Let's see if I can comprehend it within these 3 days. Jiang Xi closed his eyes once more and calmed his heart to comprehend carefully. He did not have too many demands for the inheritance of the Duowen family. His goal was clear, he was here for the yang malevolent power. If he used all his attention to comprehend the leaf-fire Tao rhymes and failed, it would be all for naught. Just like that, another 8 hours passed. Wen Feng's aura also changed. The leaf-fire Tao rhymes were attracted by him and drilled into his body before spreading out. The difference in talent and comprehension ability was reflected here. The leaf-fire domain that spread out from Wen Feng's body condensed at a very slow speed. It took a long time before it was truly formed. Finally, the power of the domain that was released was clearly not as strong as Wen Yoxin's. The advancement was complete. Thereafter, he vanished in a flash of light as well. This time, Xiao Xian and the other three's expressions did not change as drastically as before. In fact, Feng Si and Zhen Yuqing were still casually guessing how long Jiang Xi would take to comprehend the Tao rhymes here. Xiao Xian was even more certain that the 3 late-stage golden core cultivators were definitely remnants of the Wen family. After a day, Xiao Xian and the others had yet to comprehend it successfully. The 4 of them were puzzled because Jiang Xi had yet to succeed as well. That was strange. In their opinion, since Jiang Xi possessed a complete Tao domain to begin with, shouldn't his talent and comprehension ability be even stronger? Why was he the slowest instead? How could they know that only a portion of Jiang Xi's attention was focused on comprehending the leaf-fire Tao rhymes? The rest of his attention was focused on refining the yang malevolent power. However, for people like Xiao Xian and Fu Zai, the puzzlement only flashed through their minds and they did not think too much about Jiang Xi. That was because with the number of Tao crystals they had, they could only last less than 2 days in the blood-forbidden leaf-fire array. Now that more than half the time had passed, they could only leave if they still did not comprehend it. Every second mattered. Soon, it was the 3rd hour of the 2nd day. Jiang Xi's heart skipped a beat. He felt that he had suddenly formed a connection with the leaf-fire Tao rhymes that filled the sky. Some aura of the leaf-fire true intent spread out from his body. He had also comprehended it. Chapter 274. Jiang Xi was pleasantly surprised. This was truly an unexpected gain. The leaf-fire Tao rhymes that were filled with spirituality circled around his body, helping him condense the first wisp of Tao intent. In just a moment, the first wisp of Tao intent was successfully condensed. You have comprehended the Leaf Fire true intent, experience points plus 100,000. The experience panel prompt sounded at the right time. Upon hearing this, Jiang Xi reacted quickly. He ignored the complicated gazes of Qiao Xian and the others as he continuously formed hand seals and slapped the surface of the inheritance altar. Beneath his buttocks, the formation runes used to release Yang fiendish qi instantly disappeared. Jiang Xi heaved a sigh of relief. Almost at the same time, another formation rune appeared on the surface of the altar around him. The light of teleportation appeared. Riverward didn't resist this teleportation power, and his figure disappeared. Qiao Xian and the others were left behind as they looked at the place where Jiang Xi disappeared with complicated expressions. There was only a barren area. They did not discover the formation runes used to release Yang Qi. After cultivating for so many years, the four of them knew the importance of time. They quickly adjusted their emotions and continued to comprehend. The space changed. Jiang Xi appeared in an even hotter space, as if he was being roasted in a furnace. This is the second grotto heaven hidden in the Qianyang grotto heaven mentioned by Master in his inherited memories. The true ancestral land of the Wen family. He looked around. This space was not big, only tens of thousands of square meters. Countless complicated formation runes were engraved on the ground. Jiang Xi's eyes lit up. The true blood seal, Leaf Fire formation. Is that the core of the blood seal, Leaf Fire formation? Jiang Xi's gaze was locked in front of him. A wisp of strange dark red flame floated in the middle of the formation runes. Leaf Fire. The wisp of leaf fire that the Wen family's ancestor, Wen Yan, had left behind. The shocking heat here was emitted by the leaf fire. There was also a faint charm that was in harmony with heaven and earth that spread from the wisp of leaf fire. It was intoxicating and frightening. At this time, when Yoxin and Wen Feng were sitting cross-legged in the blood seal, leaf fire formation, their hands were grasping the Wen family's ancestral seal unsealing technique. Of course, it was Jiang Xi who gave it to them later. The Wen clan's ancestral unsealing method had long been lost during their escape. That wisp of leaf fire was being guided by the Wen siblings' unsealing technique. It was splitting into wisps of pure leaf fire and slowly entering their bodies. It was obvious that their leaf fire domain was rapidly growing stronger. At the same time, other inexplicable information was transmitted to their minds through the tiny wisps of leaf fire. The so-called inheritance was not as simple as the Tao of fire. The siblings' minds were completely immersed in the inheritance, so they did not notice Jiang Xi's arrival. Jiang Xi realized that they were not continuing to refine the Tao crystal. As expected, entering the second paradise is equivalent to passing the test and gaining recognition. I don't have to worry about the threat of the blood forbidden leaf fire formation anymore. Otherwise, with the number of Tao crystals that the Wen siblings possessed, they would have been used up long ago after such a long time. Right now, the two of them were still peacefully receiving their inheritances. However, to be cautious, Jiang Xi still felt it carefully. The leaf fire Tao runes that filled this space were 100 times denser than on the inheritance altar. However, the leaf fire Tao runes here were not offensive. Jiang Xi was relieved and immediately stopped refining the Tao crystal. Then, he did not disturb the Wen siblings. His figure swayed slightly and he quietly arrived near the leaf fire. The Yang fiendish qi is sealed right below this wisp of leaf fire. It can be released and absorbed here. With that thought, Jiang Xi formed tens of thousands of seals again and slapped them on the array runes below. Immediately, the Yang fiendish qi surged up endlessly. Jiang Xi directly used the yin-yang nourishment technique to absorb and refine the Yang fiendish qi. The speed of the golden core's nourishment increased by 1,000 times again. Earlier on the inheritance altar, his golden core had already completed half of its nourishment. Now that there was enough time, there was no need to worry about not having enough Tao crystals. When the golden core completely transformed, it would be over. Jiang Xi focused part of his attention on the nourishment of his golden core. At the same time, he looked at the wisp of leaf fire. Compared to this wisp of leaf fire condensed from the Tao of leaf fire, the leaf fire Tao runes on the inheritance altar is simply child's play. I'm not a member of the Wen family. I wonder if I can absorb and comprehend the Tao of leaf fire using the Wen family's seal unsealing technique? At this point, Jiang Xi did not want to miss this opportunity. Immediately, he used the rest of his attention to form a complicated seal unsealing technique. Buzz! The wisp of dark red leaf fire trembled slightly, as if it was resisting. Indeed, it recognized one's bloodline. Jiang Xi was a little disappointed. However, at this moment, the wisp of dark red leaf fire separated into a tiny flame. It emitted a terrifying aura and charged towards Jiang Xi, as if it wanted to destroy Jiang Xi's soul. Fuck! Jiang Xi was shocked. While dodging, he hurriedly dispersed the seal unsealing technique. However, it was too late at such a close distance. It's over. The wisp of leaf fire directly drilled into his mind. Unexpectedly, the wisp of leaf fire suddenly became gentle again. As if it had discovered something, it circled around his mind. Jiang Xi was stunned for a moment. Did I discover Master's memory inheritance? Or did I discover the experience panel? He thought for a moment and left the former guess. The experience panel was mysterious. Back then, Daoist Ji's remnant spirit had entered his mind in order to pass on his memory, but it did not discover the existence of the experience panel. This was only Wen Yan's wisp of leaf fire, so it was even more impossible to discover it. Thank you, Uncle Master Wen Yan. Jiang Xi bowed respectfully to the leaf fire, expressing his respect to the Uncle Master that he had never met. After doing this, he began to comprehend and absorb the wisp of leaf fire in his mind. Soon, he completed the comprehension. You have comprehended the leaf fire inheritance, experience points plus 100,000. Jiang Xi was stunned again. This scene was so familiar. When he was challenging the Ling Wan Road on Earth, he had obtained similar experience points. That was the inheritance of the Gale Path. Jiang Xi was overjoyed. This was an unexpected surprise. 100,000 experience points each time. Moreover, because of his master's memory inheritance, the leaf fire no longer resisted him. He could complete the comprehension and absorption in almost a minute. His experience points increased rapidly. As for the wisp of leaf fire, it was also shrinking, although the speed was very slow. Qianyang Grotto Heaven, Inheritance Altar. Qiao Xian and the other three had been on the inheritance altar for a day and a half. For example, Qiao Xian and Fu Zai had consumed a lot of doctrine crystals because of the previous punishment. If they could not comprehend anything else, they could only leave in disappointment. Therefore, the two of them were very anxious. At this moment, the power of a domain filled with vitality suddenly spread out. It was Fu Zai, the famous starry sky hunter of the Blue Star region, who had broken through. Chapter 275. Fu Zai shut his eyes tightly. The domain power that was suffused with vitality was constantly shrinking and changing. Its might was also gradually increasing. In just a moment, his Dao domain finally stabilized and perfected Dao charms spread out. Like a withered tree receiving a new lease of life, one could clearly sense the rich vitality from afar. A complete Dao domain? I've long heard that Fu Zai was at the perfected nascent soul realm. Now that his Dao domain is perfected, he is now invincible among the nascent soul realm. Qiao Xian, Feng Si, and Zheng Yuqing were envious. Invincible among the nascent soul realm. The higher one's cultivation level, the more one could experience the power of being invincible among the same level. Especially after reaching the nascent soul realm, it was even more difficult to achieve that. As for situations where the weak defeated the strong, it was almost impossible to see among high-level cultivators. After all, those who could cultivate to the nascent soul realm and above were not weak. For example, Patriarch Qing Xian of the Pale Blue Star Zone was an expert who could defeat the strong despite being weak. He was famous throughout the Star Zone for that. However, what puzzled the trio was that after Fu Zai's Dao technique broke through, there was no movement from the inheritance altar. The teleportation that they imagined did not happen. Fu Zai was even more puzzled. He waited for a moment, but there was still no change. Could it be that only by comprehending the Dao technique left behind by this expert will I have the chance to receive the next inheritance? This thought surfaced in Fu Zai's mind as his expression changed. He thought that he only needed to form a connection with the Dao charms here. Therefore, he did not think of comprehending a new Dao technique. Instead, he used it to enhance his Dao domain. Fu Zai thought about it and could only sigh bitterly in the end. He did not have many Dao crystals left and had no time to comprehend a new Dao technique. I have neither a sect nor a master. After cultivating for 1,000 years, my cultivation level has long reached the perfected nascent soul realm. Now that my Dao domain is perfected, this trip is not completely fruitless. Although he was indignant, he could only console himself like that. As he did not have a master or a sect, his improvement in Dao technique comprehension was slower up until now. He had only comprehended 70% of the withered wood domain. The further one progressed in Dao technique comprehension, the more difficult it became. If not for this opportunity, it would probably take him another 500 years to cultivate the withered tree domain to the perfected realm. But now, he had used this place to achieve his goal ahead of time. It could be said that he had gained something. At that thought, Fu Zai stood up and cupped his fists at Xiao Xian, Feng Si, and Zheng Yuqing. Fellow Taoists, I'll take my leave first. Xiao Xian and the other two also cupped their hands in congratulations. As for why Fu Zai did not enter the next stage of the inheritance after successfully comprehending it, they all had their own guesses. Perhaps Fu Zai's Dao technique is not suitable for this heritage, thought Xiao Xian. It was obvious that the Dao of heaven and earth left behind by the Wen family's ancestor was related to fire. Those three Oris core stage cultivators had comprehended fire-related Dao arts. As for Fu Zai's Dao domain, it suffused rich vitality. It obviously didn't meet this requirement. My Dao technique is the blazing flame domain. In this aspect, I should have a huge advantage. Xiao Xian was filled with confidence. Feng Si and Xiao Xian looked at each other again. They seemed to have thought of something, but didn't say it out loud. Then, the three of them continued to comprehend the leaf fire Dao runes. On the other side, after Fu Zai obtained a complete Dao domain, his speed increased as he rapidly passed through the blood-forbiddenly fire array's sea of fire. At the edge of the sea of fire, the ordinary cultivators had either fled or died. They were nowhere to be seen. Only the 1,000-odd cultivators from the Qiao family, Zhangyan sect, and Four Symbols sect remained. These people did not stop Fu Zai. This was because they had already received the message from Xiao Xian and company. They were not to stop him. He was an invincible nascent soul expert. If he was truly angered, they would not be enough to kill him even if they joined forces. Fu Zai carried his twin sabers on his back. After leaving the core region, he chose not to leave the Qianyang Grotto heaven. He turned around and stood guard at the edge of the sea of fire. His gaze was fixed on the majestic inheritance altar. Those three late-stage Oris core stage cultivators have all entered the next stage of the inheritance. From the looks of it, they do know something. Treasures in this world belong to the strong. Perhaps I can obtain the final true heritage through them. Fu Zai had roamed the cosmos for hundreds of years. He was a powerful space hunter who believed in strength. He had given up at the inheritance altar because he had no other choice. The Dao integration inheritance was the greatest opportunity he had encountered since he started cultivating. He could not give up until the very end. Xiao Xian tried his best to remain calm and suppress the anxiety in his heart. He allowed himself to fully comprehend the leaf fire Dao runes. The reason why he was anxious was because he did not have many Tao crystals left. When he was left with only 10,000 Tao crystals. Suddenly, his expression lit up. The spiralingly fire Tao runes were drawn into his body by his guidance. He had also succeeded in comprehending. The blazing fire domain spread out. With the help of the leaf fire Tao runes, it shrank and increased continuously, rapidly approaching the perfected realm. In just a moment, the blazing fire domain, which was similar to the aura of leaf fire, emitted an even more scorching aura. A complete Tao domain. Another invincible nascent soul expert. Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing exchanged a bitter smile. Everyone else had broken through while the two of them, geniuses from top immortal Tao sects, fell behind. Qiao Xian was overjoyed as he waited for the teleportation to arrive. However, nothing happened after a while. His expression changed. Why? I clearly comprehended a fire-related Tao technique. Must I comprehend the exact same Tao technique as the Wen family patriarch to be qualified to receive the true inheritance? Many years ago, when he communicated with his patriarch through spiritual consciousness, the patriarch did not mention this. Damn it! Qiao Xian roared indignantly as the powerful blazing fire raged around him. He still wanted to use the Wen family's inheritance to break through to the essence soul realm. However, being invincible in the nascent soul realm was not his goal. However, he was now facing the same problem as Fu Zai. There was not enough time left with 10,000 Tao crystals. It was almost impossible for him to comprehend a new Tao technique. Although he was indignant, Qiao Xian did not dare to vent his anger here for fear of violating the taboo. There's still a chance to obtain the final inheritance through the 3 Wen family remnants. Qiao Xian left with a final glimmer of hope. However, Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing were deep in thought. They had previously read about similar Tao integration inheritances in the ancient books of their sect. Through the success of the 3 golden core cultivators and the failure of Fu Zai and Qiao Xian, they already had a definite answer in their hearts. So what if I'm indignant? If I can't even comprehend the Tao technique left behind by this expert, how can I accept his inheritance? The inheritance is also a selection process to choose a suitable successor. Apart from bloodline, it might also require talent, physique, Tao techniques, etc., to be compatible. They kept such guesses to themselves. Everyone was here for the opportunity, so they naturally could not say it out loud. Chapter 276. These 2 geniuses from the top immortal Tao sects had long considered this. Therefore, they had been carefully comprehending the Tao runes here from the start, attempting to comprehend the Tao techniques left behind by a Tao integration expert. They did not perfect their Tao domains like Qiao Xian and Fu Zai. There's still a chance. Although Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing were anxious, they controlled their emotions well. A Tao crystal could last for 1 second. Both of them had more than 200,000 Tao crystals at the start. In other words, they could last for more than 2 days here. Now that 2 days had not passed, they still had a chance. As the saying went, hard work would definitely be rewarded. It was just a matter of how much. Soon, the 2 days were over. It was the 3rd hour of the 3rd day. Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing did not have many Tao crystals left either. At this moment, their hard work was finally rewarded. The 2 of them succeeded at almost the same time. The wisps of leaf fire Tao runes danced joyfully, emitting a shocking aura as they condensed the true intent of leaf fire. The 2 of them were overjoyed. They had succeeded at the last moment. A moment later, the true intent of leaf fire was formed. Runes of teleportation spell formations appeared around them. Crack, crack, crack. However, at this moment, terrifying cracks appeared on the magnificent inheritance altar. The ground shook as if it was about to collapse. The surrounding sea of fire shook violently, its aura weakening and about to be extinguished. A destructive aura spread from the depths of the inheritance altar. What's going on? This place is going to be destroyed. I haven't received the inheritance yet. This is the inheritance ground of a Tao integration expert. It's indestructible. At the edge of the Sea of Fire. More than 1,000 cultivators from the Qiao family, Zhangyan sect, and 4 symbols sect surrounded the core area. Qiao Xian and Fu Zai, the 2 new invincible nascent soul experts, stood guard in 2 different directions. They were all waiting. Since they could not obtain the inheritance of a Tao integration expert through the inheritance altar, then, he would obtain this opportunity from those 3 golden core stage cultivators. At this moment, they noticed a huge commotion in the Sea of Fire in front of them. As if there was a gust of wind, the shockingly powerful flames shook violently as if they were about to be extinguished. Some rose tens of thousands of feet high, while others sank to only an inch. At the same time, the earth was trembling. The inheritance altar is about to collapse. Someone exclaimed. Amidst the Sea of Fire, the inheritance altar that covered an area of more than 100 square kilometers was cracking and collapsing. A powerful destructive aura swept out and spread throughout the entire Qianyang cave. Huff huff, the shocking power of the Sea of Flames instantly vanished. They're coming out. Qiao Xian and Fu Zai's eyes lit up. At the same time, he flew out. Let's go back in time a little. It was the 18th hour of the 2nd day after everyone ascended the inheritance altar. In the Qianyang heavenly abode, the 2nd heavenly abode that was like a furnace. The wisp of leaf fire floating in the center of the blood-forbidden leaf fire formation had already shrunk by half. The Wen siblings opened their eyes at the same time, ending the inheritance. The siblings were pleasantly surprised and were about to speak. Then, they saw that Jiang Xi was here as well. He seemed to be receiving an inheritance. The dignified and gentle Wen Yoxin quickly shook her head at Wen Feng. He indicated that he should not disturb this young martial granduncle. Afterwards, the 2 of them communicated with each other through their spiritual senses. Big sister, what level has your leaf fire domain reached? 60%. Big sister is still the best. I'm only at 30%. Not bad. The ancestor left behind a wisp of leaf fire Dao with the intention of helping our clansmen improve their Dao techniques. However, even during our Wen clan's heyday, only the clansmen with top-notch comprehension had the opportunity to comprehend 30% or more of the leaf fire domain during the inheritance. Wen Feng nodded. In comparison, his talent and comprehension weren't bad. The Dao technique inheritance is only secondary. What's important is that our Wen clan's artifact forging inheritance has finally returned. Wen Yoxin said with a smile on her face. Wen Feng also smiled. The most important inheritance of the Wen clan, apart from the Dao techniques left behind by the ancestor, was artifact forging. 10,000 years ago, the Wen clan was a cultivator clan that was famous throughout the Zixiao region for its artifact forging. However, this inheritance had been severed after the clan was exterminated. The Wen clan had lost its foundation for its rise. Now, the siblings had regained this inheritance from the leaf fire left behind by the ancestor. The future was promising. Suddenly, Wen Feng's gaze focused. He saw the leaf fire that had shrunk by half. Big sister, why is the leaf fire left behind by the ancestor so much smaller? Wen Yoxin also looked at it and was stunned. The jade slip that they kept recorded that the wisp of leaf fire left behind by the ancestor was indestructible and had the ability to recover on its own. The small amount that the 2 of them had absorbed and refined wouldn't have any effect on the leaf fire. Then why was it so much smaller? At this moment, they noticed that the leaf fire that had shrunk by half split off a tiny dark red flame and drilled into Jiang Xi's mind. A minute later, the same scene appeared again. So fast. The siblings were shocked. When they received the inheritance just now, it took them more than an hour to completely refine and absorb a wisp of leaf fire. However, Jiang Xi only used a minute to complete the process. He was 60 times faster than them. Martial Granduncle's talent and comprehension are so terrifying. The 2 of them exclaimed. No wonder the leaf fire was consumed so quickly. If this continued, the leaf fire would be sucked dry by this young martial granduncle. The feelings of the Wen siblings were somewhat complicated. If this wisp of leaf fire was gone, then the Wen family's inheritance would also be gone. If it's gone, then it's gone. Even if this land of inheritance still exists, it won't fall into our hands. It will only benefit others. Wen Yoxin said. Yes, martial granduncle is not an outsider. After all, Ancestor Gu is also the creator of the land of inheritance. Wen Feng nodded. The siblings sighed and quietly watched Jiang Xi absorb and refine the leaf fire. After the inheritance, the two of them could have left through the teleportation array in this space. However, now that they saw Jiang Xi enter, they wanted to wait for Jiang Xi to leave together. What is that vigorous energy? Wen Yoxin discovered a wisp of yang qi that was escaping from Jiang Xi's body. I'm not sure. It's not recorded in the jade slip. Wen Feng was also surprised. The two of them realized that they couldn't see through this young martial granduncle anymore. Mysterious origin, terrifying talent, terrifying strength. Just like that, another hour passed. Jiang Xi's body suddenly shook. The endless stream of yang qi dissipated in an instant. At the same time, some nascent soul stage aura appeared on his body. He had completed the nurturing of the golden core. The golden core had completely transformed and could form the nascent soul at any time, becoming a nascent soul cultivator. Chapter 277. Jiang Xi opened his eyes, full of excitement and joy. The yin-yang nurturing technique that originally required 10 years had been shortened to less than 2 days. The process of forming the golden core into the nascent soul is extremely important. This environment is obviously not suitable. If someone from Qiao Xian's group succeeded in comprehending and came to the second grotto heaven while he was forming the golden core into the nascent soul, that would be troublesome. Therefore, Jiang Xi dismissed the idea of forming the nascent soul here. However, although he was not at the nascent soul stage yet, the spirit energy in his body had already completed its transformation. Compared to before, the strength of his spirit energy had almost doubled. With the perfected Gale domain and sword intent, my combat strength should still be a little short of the invincible nascent soul stage. If I really meet them, I can still spar. The reason why Jiang Xi was so confident was because the sword intent was one of the best Dao intents. It was most suitable for battle. Ordinary Dao intents like Gale and Departing Fire were far inferior to sword intents in terms of amplification of attack power. Even an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator would have a perfected Dao domain. However, with the sword intent, Jiang Xi believed that he would not be too far off in terms of combat strength. At that moment, Jiang Xi saw that there was still yang qi gushing out endlessly. He smiled at the Wen siblings. The two of you, quickly refine this yang qi and nurture your golden core. Yang qi! The Wen siblings exclaimed. They had just received the Wen family's inheritance and knew how precious yang qi was as well as its effects. The two of them hurriedly sat down to absorb and refine it. This was another opportunity. Jiang Xi smiled. After his golden core completed its transformation, the yang qi was no longer useful to him. He took some time to look at the experience points and changes in his Dao techniques on the experience points panel. Experience points, 182. 51 million, Departing Fire True Intent, 1. 5 million, my experience points are almost 100 million more than before I entered the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. When I hunted the fire spirit previously, I obtained about 40 million experience points. After absorbing half of the departing fire inheritance, I obtained about 50 million more. Thinking of this, Jiang Xi turned his gaze to the wisp of leaf fire that had shrunk by half. After absorbing the remaining Ignis legacy, my experience points will exceed 200 million. In 1 minute, you can absorb and refine a wisp of leaf fire and gain 100,000 experience points. This was a speed of gaining experience that he had never experienced before. Jiang Xi really wished that martial uncle Wen Yan had left behind a few more wisps of Tao of Ignis. That way, he wouldn't have to worry about the lack of experience points for a long time in the future. Shaking his head, he threw this unrealistic thought aside. Next was the true meaning of Li Fire. 500,000 experience points. From this point of view, the true intent of Li Fire and the true intent of Gale are indeed true Tao intents of the same grade. Using the EXP panel to level up not only requires the consumption of EXP, but also requires the same amount of spiritual energy. If he spent 500,000 EXP, he would need to provide 500,000 points of spiritual energy. Such a huge number. In the past, Jiang Xi might have been worried, but now he was very relaxed. Isn't it just 2 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits? Since I'm free now, let's level up the true meaning of Li Fire to perfection. Jiang Xi directly took out 4 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits. 2 of them were tossed to the Wen siblings who were refining the baleful yang energy. The weather is quite hot. Quench your thirst. Wen Yoxin and Wen Feng were a little confused. Eating 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits as fruits. Wen Yoxin was even more surprised because Jiang Xi had taken out one in the dark market before. 10,000-year-old spiritual fruits were priced at 10,000 low-grade spirit crystals in Murong Planet's cultivation world. Moreover, there was a price but no supply. Now, their martial uncle casually threw one to each of them. He was a little rich. You're welcome. Jiang Xi smiled. Then, he snorted and ate one of them. The taste was very good. It was refreshing and delicious, especially relieving the heat. Of course, his actions were just a cover for the next level up. Feeling the huge amount of spiritual energy filling his body, Jiang Xi began to quickly level up the true meaning of Li Fire. In order to prevent the Wen siblings from noticing the abnormality, he deliberately slowed down the speed of improvement. Originally, it would only take 10 minutes, but he used half an hour to complete the process. True meaning of Li Fire, 500,000/500,000, perfection. After the golden core completed the transformation, the strength of spiritual energy doubled. Coupled with the Gale domain, sword intent, and true meaning of Li Fire, it should not be much different from an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator, right? Jiang Xi's confidence doubled. He left Earth and stepped into the starry sky again in order to reach the nascent soul stage and then have the strength to contend with an invincible nascent soul stage cultivator. He did not expect that after accidentally comprehending the true meaning of Li Fire, he would now achieve this goal in advance. Subsequently, Jiang Xi put all his energy into refining and absorbing the Li Fire inheritance. That wisp of Li Fire was constantly shrinking. At this time, Jiang Xi still did not know that 2 invincible nascent soul stage cultivators had been born on the inheritance altar. And these 2 people were guarding them outside. Just like that, 6 hours passed and the second day ended. The yang qi that was sealed here was finally completely released. The golden core of the Wen siblings, after being rapidly nourished by the yang qi, was also stronger than before and took a big step toward the nascent soul stage. The siblings were overjoyed and at the same time, were full of gratitude to Jiang Xi. Their changes were all brought about by their grand uncle. Originally, they did not even have the opportunity to enter the ancestral land of inheritance. But since the appearance of their grand uncle, they successfully came to the ancestral land of inheritance. Not only did they obtain the family's inheritance that had been lost for thousands of years, but they also refined this incomparably precious yang qi. Time passed, and soon it was the 3rd hour of the 3rd day. Puff, there seemed to be a soft sound. The wisp of Li Fire that had not been extinguished for thousands of years completely disappeared. The last wisp of dark red flame was also absorbed by Jiang Xi. Li Fire was exhausted. At this time, Jiang Xi suddenly opened his eyes, full of horror. He felt that there was a destructive aura that was surging up from the ground. Get out of here quickly. Jiang Xi did not even think about it and wrapped the Wen siblings in the Gale domain. He flew toward the teleportation array that they had just used to come to the second grotto heaven. But at this time, suddenly, a scene that seemed like the destruction of heaven and earth appeared. Rumble. The space of the second grotto heaven shook violently, as if it was about to collapse. The ground was cracking, and the runes of the blood prohibition leaf fire array were also damaged. The array was about to break. In the shocking cracks, fiery red earth core lava was violently churning. It emitted a destructive aura that would break the seal of the blood prohibition leaf fire array at any time and spurt out. Jiang Xi and the Wen siblings had just arrived at the teleportation array when they saw this scene. They were all shocked. Because this was not ordinary earth core lava. After being immersed in the Tao of leaf fire for thousands of years, this lava also had some of the power of leaf fire. But even if it was just a little, it was not something that golden core and nascent soul stage cultivators could resist. Quick, quick, quick. Jiang Xi hurriedly made a hand seal to activate the teleportation array. In a flash of light, the three of them disappeared. Chapter 278. At the same time, cracks that were a foot wide appeared on the inheritance altar and it was on the verge of collapse. The surrounding sea of fire was extinguished rapidly as well. Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing had bitter expressions on their faces. They had just succeeded in comprehending the Tao runes here and condensed the Tao technique left behind by that Tao integration expert. They were about to receive the true inheritance. However, they did not expect the inheritance altar to be on the verge of collapse. This situation made them extremely bewildered. The inheritance ground of a Tao integration expert was indestructible as long as it was not destroyed by external forces. Could it be because the three of them had already received the inheritance? Was this place going to self-destruct? Suddenly, a formation rune appeared in a part of the collapsing inheritance altar that was still intact. Three figures appeared amidst the light of teleportation. It's the three golden core cultivators. Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing's eyes lit up. Even though they did not have the chance to receive the inheritance, they could still obtain it from the three of them. Both of them were mid-stage nascent souls and their Tao domains were more than 70% complete. Their combat strength was comparable to late-stage nascent souls. Dealing with these three puny late-stage golden core cultivators was as easy as squashing ants. Hand over the inheritance and we'll spare your lives. Zheng Yuqing hollered coldly. Feng Si's gaze turned cold as killing intent surfaced. Their domain powers were accompanied by immense spirit energy as they transformed into gigantic palms that reached out to grab Jiang Xi and the other two. Are you that confident? Jiang Xi laughed. The moment he was teleported out, he was prepared to strike. The Gale domain spread out and blocked Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing's gigantic palms. At the same time, he formed fist seals with both hands. The true intent of leaf fire in his left hand and the true intent of sword in his right. The gigantic fist seals with shocking might smashed towards the two of them. After his golden core transformed, the strength of his spirit energy had doubled. Against nascent souls, his foundation was no longer as weak as before. Furthermore, the cultivation of these two opponents were only at mid-stage nascent souls. Jiang Xi was not afraid at all. Boom boom boom. On the inheritance altar that was on the verge of collapse, a gale raged and energy surged. Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing's expressions changed. They did not expect this late-stage golden core cultivator to be so powerful. Us too. The Wen siblings attacked as well. Both of them had comprehended the leaf fire domain in the inheritance. Right now, one of them was comparable to a mid-nascent soul cultivator while the other was comparable to an early-nascent soul cultivator. The inheritance of a Tao integration expert was not as simple as it seemed. The two leaf fire domains layered over each other. The Wen clan siblings instantly attacked together. In addition, Jiang Xi threw another punch. The powerful aura shocked Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing. They hurriedly retreated to avoid the combined attack of the three. These three late-stage gold core realm cultivators were too fierce. "Don't fight!" Zhang Xi shouted. The earth was trembling, and the inheritance altar was shaking violently. The blood-forbiddenly fire formation had been unsealed following the destruction of the second paradise. The surrounding sea of fire had lost its original power. Zhang Xi sensed that many figures with astonishing auras were rapidly approaching this place. Once he was surrounded, he would not be able to escape. "Retreat!" Zhang Xi swung his sword and attacked. A perfected true intent of the sword wasn't any weaker than a Dao domain that had just been comprehended. Furthermore, because of the existence of the Gale domain, the power of the true intent of departing fire became even stronger. The fire borrowed the power of the wind, and the wind enhanced the power of the fire. With the three combined, the sword instantly reached the level of an invincible nascent soul realm cultivator. The powerful sword caused Feng Si and Zheng Yuqing's expressions to change drastically. They hurriedly retreated, no longer daring to block Zhang Xi's group. After Zhang Xi broke free from their entanglement, he hurriedly activated the Gale domain to the maximum and led the Wen clan siblings away from this place. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, thousands of figures flew over from all directions. They were surrounded. There were the Qiao clan, the Cangyan sect, and the Four Symbols sect. There was also the lone starry sky wanderer, Fu Zai. Fu Zai and Qiao Xian were the fastest. They surrounded them from two different directions. The aura of spirit power and domain power they emitted shocked Zhang Xi. There are actually two invincible nascent soul realm cultivators. I can't fight them head-on. In this emergency situation, Zhang Xi remained calm and quickly observed his surroundings. In an instant, he saw the Qiao clan's young master, Qiao Sui, and nearly 100 Qiao clan golden core cultivators coming from another direction. The scene of Qiao Sui leading 800 golden core cultivators to attack him again and again was still vivid in his mind. Kill! Zhang Xi wanted to break through from there. Under the perfected Gale domain, even with the Wen clan siblings, his speed far exceeded that of a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. Whoosh! With a light wave of his sword, three types of Dao techniques converged. A terrifying aura comparable to an invincible nascent soul realm cultivator suddenly spread. Sui, be careful. Qiao Xian's expression changed drastically. He immediately shouted a warning. However, his voice was not as fast as Zhang Xi's sword. The strange sword, accompanied by a gust of wind, seemed to be able to pierce through space. With a destructive intent, it instantly arrived in front of Qiao Sui and the 100 golden core cultivators. Qiao Sui's eyes widened in horror. He was only a mid-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. In the face of this extremely fast sword, he had no time to form a defensive move. Whoosh! With a sweep of the sword, Qiao Sui and the 100 golden core cultivators were cut in half. Instant kill. Ah! Scum of the Wen clan. Qiao Xian's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. The son that he valued the most had been killed. In his anger, Qiao Xian's speed suddenly increased by 30%, and he instantly caught up with Zhang Xi. He was an invincible nascent soul realm cultivator, and his speed was only slightly slower than Zhang Xi's. In addition, Zhang Xi's sword just now had delayed him. Therefore, the distance between him and Zhang Xi was shortened. He swung his sword, wrapped in the blazing flame domain, and attacked Zhang Xi. Danger! Zhang Xi did not dare to be careless and swung his sword once again. Boom! The sword and saber collided instantly. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. A huge shockwave set off an energy storm that swept through the area. Several early-stage golden core cultivators were swept into the energy storm and their bodies exploded out of thin air. Such terrifying power! At this time, the Wen clan siblings were also attacking. Their flame domain overlapped, and they had the strength to fight a late-stage nascent soul realm cultivator. They blocked most of the attacks from the other nascent soul realm cultivators. In this way, Jiang Xi could focus on dealing with the attacks of the other powerful cultivators. However, Qiao Xian's attack just now had slowed down Jiang Xi's speed again. At this time, Fu Zai caught up from another direction. This invincible nascent soul realm cultivator made the dual saber attack even more ferocious. 200-meter-long saber lights crossed and attacked. Although they were full of vitality, they were like blades of death. What a strange attack! Riverward was extremely alarmed and once again used his strongest sword move. Gale Domain, Sword Intent, and Flame Domain. The huge sword shadow collided with the two saber lights. Boom! Under the fiery red sky, violent energy swept through. In addition, the earth was trembling violently, and the inheritance altar was about to collapse. It was as if the end of the world was coming. Chapter 279. This series of exchanges happened in the blink of an eye. It was extremely short. At this moment, a destructive aura surged up from the ground, breaking open the already cracked inheritance altar. A pillar of fire with a diameter of tens of thousands of meters soared into the sky with a blazing aura. With a rumble, the inheritance altar, which covered an area of hundreds of square kilometers, collapsed. A destructive storm erupted in an instant. Everyone was terrified and retreated as fast as they could. Some golden core cultivators and even late-stage golden core cultivators. Because they couldn't dodge in time, their bodies were annihilated by the destructive pillar of fire. Death upon contact. At this moment, Xiao Sui and the other golden core cultivators who blocked the way were all dead. The area in front of Jiang Xi was empty. Good chance. In such a terrifying situation, he didn't dare to stay any longer and turned to retreat. The spiritual power in his body surged, and the surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth gathered. The Gale domain was instantly activated, and his speed was maximized. Whoosh! Jiang Xi quickly left with the Wen siblings. The people who came from the other three directions could only watch as the three figures disappeared into the horizon because they were blocked by the terrifying pillar of fire. Too fast. So fast. Fu Zai and the others were shocked. Wen clan. Damn the Wen clan. As for Qiao Xian, his eyes were bloodshot. The power of fire that surrounded his body was the same as his anger, blazing ferociously. As the saying went, he tried to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it. He couldn't stop Jiang Xi and the others, and he even lost a son. Those three remnants of the Wen clan have the means to disguise themselves, but as long as they're on Murong planet, they can forget about escaping. The chill on Qiao Xian's body seemed to condense into water. He immediately sent a message to the nascent soul elders guarding the interstellar teleportation array to send more people and increase the strength of the blockade. None of the foreign cultivators should even think about leaving. At this moment, the entire core area of Qianyang Grotto Heaven was collapsing because of the pillar of fire. Shocking cracks were spreading in all directions. This place was going to be destroyed. No one dared to stay any longer and quickly rushed out of Qianyang Grotto Heaven. The outer ceiling array of Qianyang Grotto Heaven had long been unsealed. As long as they reached the border of the Grotto Heaven, they could rush out. The blue smoke lake, the entrance to the Qianyang cave, only covered an area of a few hundred square kilometers. However, the entire heavenly abode was incomparably huge, spanning over 1,000,000 square kilometers. Of course, with Jiang Xi's speed, he could cross thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. With the Wen siblings in tow, he soon saw the heavenly abode barrier that was shrouded in thick fog. Without any hesitation, he passed through it. After Xiao Chen came out, he saw that the thick fog covering a radius of 150 kilometers around Blue Smoke Lake was churning intensely. This huge commotion was caused by the light beam of destruction below the inheritance altar. However, the Qianyang Grotto Heaven was created by the combined efforts of two Dao integration stage cultivators. It would not be destroyed just like that. However, the destructive beam of light was tainted with the Tao of Li fire, and its power was astonishing. The environment inside the Grotto Heaven would definitely be destroyed and turned into a purgatory. Leave Murong planet immediately. Jiang Xi didn't stop for even a moment. He rushed towards the escape routes that he had arranged in advance. This was something that he had discussed with the Wen siblings. The two of them were also willing to leave. At this moment, the three of them had already changed their appearance and aura through the upper-grade spiritual tool disguise mask. As long as they didn't make a move, their identities wouldn't be exposed. Strong winds howled. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Xi had brought the Wen siblings to Qianyang City, which was 150 kilometers away. In a quiet courtyard. With a wave of his hand, Jiang Xi stirred up a gust of wind and lifted up a part of the courtyard's ground by 3 feet. It revealed a small teleportation array that he had set up in advance. He had even placed the spirit crystals in advance. At the same time, he explained to the Wen siblings with a smile, through this teleportation array, you can reach the vicinity of the interstellar teleportation array on Murong planet. Great move, Uncle Granduncle, the siblings praised in unison. Jiang Xi smiled and made a hand seal to activate the teleportation array. He had set up 10 small teleportation arrays like this on Murong planet. 6 of them were near the interstellar teleportation array. He was fully prepared. In a flash of teleportation light, the 3 of them disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already thousands of kilometers away. At the same time, Qiao Xian and the other cultivators had just rushed out of the dense boundary of the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. Looking around the blue smoke lake, it was empty. Apart from them, there was no one else to be seen. Previously, because Jiang Xi and the other two had suddenly rushed into the sea of fire, they had not been able to kill the ordinary cultivators. They didn't manage to kill all the ordinary cultivators in time. In the end, nearly 5,000 of them managed to escape. As for these 5,000 people, because the Qiao clan had sent people to seal off the interstellar teleportation array, they were unable to leave and were scattered all over Murong planet. Search. Search the entire Murong planet. Find those 3 Wen clan bastards. Qiao Xian shouted at the Qiao clan cultivators. Immediately, several hundred golden core cultivators and 4 nascent soul cultivators of the Qiao clan rushed to various places on Murong planet. Not only that, but under his orders, the Qiao clan cultivators who had not entered the Qianyang Grotto Heaven. As long as they had reached the golden core stage, they had been sent out to search the entire Murong planet. The Qiao clan's control over Murong planet's cultivation world had always been forceful and overbearing. They had records of the cultivators' identities and information from all over the planet. As for the interstellar teleportation array, Qiao Xian had already sent people to guard it. As long as someone tried to teleport out, no matter who it was, they would be immediately captured. Qiao Xian believed that through such a search, they would definitely be able to find the 3 Wen clan bastards who had escaped. Fellow Taoists, I'm very sorry that something like this has happened. Please cooperate and don't leave Murong planet for the time being. My Qiao clan will offer you generous gifts as an apology. Qiao Xian turned around and said to Fu Zai, Feng Si, and Zheng Yuqing, generous gifts. I don't need generous gifts. If you can capture those 3, I hope you can let me search their souls first. Fu Zai said in a low voice. Fellow Taoist Fu Zai has already answered for me. Zheng Yuqing smiled, his rugged face filled with shrewdness. I don't care if you search their souls or not. If your Qiao clan can obtain the true inheritance from those 3, just let me take a look. Feng Si said. Qiao Xian's face was gloomy as he pondered. These 3 nascent soul cultivators were either invincible nascent soul cultivators or had shocking backgrounds. With the patriarch in seclusion, it would be difficult for the Qiao clan to resist the combined forces of these 3. Finally, he nodded and said, it's impossible to search their souls. If we can really obtain the inheritance, I can let you take a look. However, there's a condition. You have to swear an oath not to tell others about the inheritance. The three of them looked at each other, then smiled and nodded. Even the youngest among them, Feng Si, was close to 300 years old. The oldest, Fu Zai, was close to 1,000 years old. It could be said that they were all experienced and ruthless people. Naturally, they knew that the fewer people who knew about such a powerful inheritance, the better. Following that, the cultivation world of Murong planet fell into turmoil and panic. Regardless of whether they were local cultivators or foreign cultivators who could not escape and could only sneak into various places, they were all searched. Although the local cultivators were panicking, as long as there was no problem with their identities, there was nothing to worry about. As for the foreign cultivators who had escaped earlier, they were all captured and sent to Blue Smoke Lake. Qiao Xian and the others waited quietly outside Qianyang City. However, just a minute after he issued the order for a global search, he received a message. The one who sent the message was the Qiao clan's nascent soul elder who was guarding the interstellar transportation array. After reading the message, Qiao Xian's expression changed drastically. Nascent soul cultivator. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.